Alrighty. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is James Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. For the next 3 consecutive hours, I'm going to be answering as many fantasy football related questions as possible for week 11 of the 2023 fantasy football season. Good morning. Welcome. Hope everyone's doing well. Again, as you guys can see to the right side of me, like we do every single Sunday morning, I have up-to-date rankings as for the 4 primary positions in a half PPR scoring format and in a 4-point per passing touchdown format. So my top 36 updated rankings as of this morning, literally updated a couple hours ago, ready to go. A couple of, I guess, vital pieces of information that we have learned in the last, I would say, 12 hours or so since the last time I streamed here on the channel yesterday afternoon is that Alexander Mattison will in fact be playing today. I've ranked him accordingly. I have Ty Chandler just right outside of the top 36 running back conversation. He's at 37, but yes, still in the same conversation. We're still awaiting whether or not we'll get a full confirmation of Tyler Lockett's status. But as of right now, I have him ranked under the assumption that he'll play, but at a lesser ranking than where I had him earlier this week on Wednesday. Nonetheless, if you guys are going to send in a question, whether that is via the chat or via the super chat, please be sure to include your scoring format, whether it is non-PPR, full PPR, half PPR. All of that certainly does help in terms of the context of the question. Additionally, for those of you guys who are Patreon subscribers and supporters, rankings have already been posted earlier this morning. For those of you guys who have gone ahead and signed up using code Andrew via Underdog Fantasy from at the beginning, at least of August 1st, 2023 until yesterday prior to midnight, those rankings have also already been sent out to your emails. Be sure to check your spam folder. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get to answering questions, shall we? As you guys know the deal, typically what I like to do is I try to get like at least 250 likes or something of that nature, and then I'll go ahead and I'll present the kicker and defensive rankings on screen. So if we can do that, that'd be greatly appreciated. If you guys can click that button, it makes a huge difference. Now, I understand my rankings are not everyone's cup of tea. There are going to be things that you see today on my rankings that you don't dig, you don't agree with. That's perfectly fine. That's the entire purpose of having your own subjective opinion, is that we're not going to agree with one another. But yes, I have Tony Pollard and Brian Robinson Jr. relatively high in comparison to where I had them. Rico Dowdle and his questionable nature, and the fact that, of course, Antonio Gibson is doubtful to play today, that makes a huge difference, especially when we have, a matchup against the Carolina Panthers and a matchup against the New York Giants. Anyway, nonetheless, we'll get into explaining stuff like that in terms of context as we continue. Nonetheless, let's get into this, shall we? Alrighty, let's see who has the first question of the day via Super Chat. We had Old Jay running. Jay, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. It says, full PPR, first question. Start Mostert or Pacheco? All right, let me go ahead. Let's pull up full PPR rankings. Let's see. I have Isaiah Pacheco ahead of Mostert today in a full PPR status. Let's see here. Second question. Flex, Mostert, Dell, or Garrett Wilson? Dell would be the second question's answer. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I have Mostert back-to-back with Isaiah Pacheco. So if you do believe, let's just put it out there, right? Jay, if you have a gut feeling that you believe Mostert's going to get far more utilization than I anticipate that he's going to get in comparison to, obviously the return of Devon Achane, then I'm perfectly fine rolling with Mostert there. They're back-to-back. They're in the same tier running back. They're relatively the same value. So if you do prefer one over the other, it's fine. But in terms of the second question, I strongly feel that Dell is the answer there. Thank you very much, Jay. I appreciate it. Moving on to Trey Perez. Trey, thank you very much. Says, I need some help in a full PPR scoring format. We have Rice or Dell in the flex. Yeah, this is, again, my Tank Dell ranking continued to go up from Wednesday, especially because of the absence of Noah Brown. He's already been deemed out. I think that was on Friday afternoon. So, yeah, Tank Dell would be the suggestion over Rice this week as your flex play. Your follow-up question was Stroud, Murray, or Fields as your quarterback. I would suggest going Stroud there, Trey. Pretty much stacking your quarterback and receiver right there. Good to go. Your last question, tight end, Hawkinson or Kincaid. It's got to be Hawkinson. Again, 41% target share in the last 2 weeks with Josh Dobbs at quarterback, 26 targets, while Josh Dobbs only had 65 total passing attempts. That is a ridiculous number. And going forward, of course, he's going to continue to dominate due to the absence of Justin Jefferson within that offense. Thank you very much, Trey. Appreciate it. Let me scroll down here. Hugo sent in a question. Thank you very much, Hugo. Hope you're doing well. Says, choose one desperation flex. Tyjae Spears, Chuba Hubbard or Rico Dowdle. Considering Rico had a late week ankle injury pop up on the overall report, and I can't guarantee that he's going to get himself a lot of utilization within this game. I just don't even know what his status is as it currently stands. I'm sure that once we get probably, let me see actually. If I check the NFL schedule for today, do they play in the afternoon or are they in a morning slated game? I'm going to assume because it's the Cowboys, they're probably an afternoon. They're not. They're a morning game in Carolina. Okay. So we'll probably at around 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so about an hour and 55 minutes, we'll probably get an understanding as to what his status is and all that kind of jazz. But even with that being the case, I'd probably just rather play Chuba Hubbard in a half PPR, Tyjae Spears in a full PPR, something of that nature. Thank you, Hugo. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. We're scrolling down. Nathan J sends in a question. Nathan, thank you very much. Says, good morning, Andrew. In a non-PPR scoring format, roll with Devin Singletary or Devonta Smith for my flex spot? That is a really good question. I feel relatively confident that because we already know that Dameon Pierce is not playing today. That's another one of those players that we were 100% certain on yesterday. Considering he is not active, I'm pretty comfortable rolling with Devin Singletary against the Arizona Cardinals. It's a top 5 matchup at the position. They're probably going to continue to lean upon the running game. I mean, they had 78 offensive plays last week, and 30 of them were rushing attempts in the direction of Devin Singletary. Now, I'm not assuming that they're going to, duplicate some of the overall opportunity share there and send him 30 rushing attempts because I don't think he'll be able to physically sustain that. But I think he's a pretty solidified play. Now, Devonta Smith, on the other hand, Devonta Smith is, in the absence of Dallas Goedert, like I've mentioned earlier this week, I think he's averaging, what's the number? Let me go find it. Let's see here. It's a half PPR number, sure, but it's a number nonetheless. Let's see here. If I control F, Devonta Smith. So Devonta Smith, in the absence of Goddard last season, weeks 11 through 15, he was averaging about 13.3 fantasy points per game in a half PPR scoring format. I will take, assuming if it's a standard non-PPR league, I'll take Devin Singletary there, Nathan. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. All right. Moving on from Nathan J's question, we have Little Boy Blue. Little Boy, hope you're doing well. Let's see here. Where is your question? Because it wasn't attached. Little Boy Blue. All right. You're my boy, Blue. Let's see here. Hey, Andrew, traded Kittle and Singletary for Bijan Robinson. Clinched the playoffs already. Great. I like the trade. Assuming you have another tight end. I have Kincaid. Great. Awesome. Full PPR thoughts. Was also going to add Likely off the waivers as a backup tight end. Yeah, that works. That works really well. Good to go. Yeah, but at this point, in terms of the trade, Singletary, again, going forward, once in fact we get the return of Dameon Pierce, of course, that'll be a little bit more of a tricky situation. And considering you have tight end depth, bringing in Bijan Robinson for that haul, I'll take it. Especially the last time we saw Bijan in week 10, 22 attempts, red zone rushing attempt utilization. The only issue that I heard earlier today was that Desmond Ridder is going to be the starting quarterback come week 12. Let's just hope he doesn't fumble in the red zone as much as he did when he had the starting job earlier this season. Thank you again, Little Boy Blue. Great trade. Moving on to Lucas Ramirez. Lucas, thank you very much. Let's see, where's your question, Lucas? Lucas says, was this trade good? Question mark. Trade Dell and ETN for Puka and Mostert. I prefer Dell and ETN significantly. So when I say significantly is I basically mean in no circumstance ever would I trade Dell and ETN for Puka and Mostert rest of the season. Because again, Achane returns to the lineup, and the way that Dell's playing alongside of CJ Stroud, he's clearly the number one of that offense. And ETN has been, a top 3 running back in fantasy football for a majority of the season. So yeah, hopefully you got the Dell and ETN side there. Lucas, thank you again for your question. Moving on, we have Lawrence. Lawrence sends the question, says full PPR. Pick 2, we have a tight end and flex. We have Kincaid, Laporta, Devonta Smith, and Aaron Jones. Okay, full PPR. Let's see where I have these players ranked accordingly. Devonta Smith in a full PPR. Where do I have him in comparison to these other options? So you said you had Kincaid, you have Laporta, and then you have Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is there. Okay, so they're all relatively closely ranked, but it would go number 1, Devonta Smith. Number 2, Dalton Kincaid. Number 3, Laporta. Number 4, Aaron Jones in a full PPR scoring format. So the suggestion for you, Lawrence would be Kincaid and Devonta Smith this week. Thank you. Appreciate it, Lawrence. Moving on to Carlos Laurie's question. Thank you, Carlos. It says in a full PPR, what do you trust more? Jerome Ford rushing upside or Jaylen Warren's receiving upside? That is a really good question. I think it's all dependent on the quarterback play of DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. If he can actually be a serviceable quarterback for that offense and he can legitimately move the chains with his arm, then I think the running game of Jerome Ford can be very, I think it could be very much, now that I even say it, I think we could trust it if in fact the Pittsburgh Steelers don't stack the box. But I have no clue what to expect outside of what we saw earlier this season from DTR, which was a really lackluster performance against the Baltimore Ravens. So for right now, in a full PPR scoring format, let me even check. Who do I have ranked higher between Jaylen Warren and Jerome Ford? I have Jaylen Warren at 25 and I have Jerome Ford at 26 in my full PPR rankings. So Jaylen Warren is ahead of him at this current moment in time, Carlos. So between those two, who am I suggesting? It's leaning in the direction of hopefully that receiving upside and whatever rushing utilization he gets for Warren today. Thank you. Jacob sends in a question. Says, full PPR, Dobbs or Fields, also Montgomery or K9. Okay, so between Dobbs and Fields, I'm going to go with Josh Dobbs there. Again, I already know what I'm going to get out of Josh Dobbs today in comparison to Fields, who's coming off of the injury. I want to kind of give him a little bit of time just to kind of find his footing a little bit, because the thing is, he's coming off of a dislocated thumb. I don't know how his passing looks. I don't know how accurate he's going to be. We would have to hope for the best case scenario in those kind of a situation. So for right now, I just roll with Dobbs. He's the hot hand. He has a lot of rushing utilization, and obviously scores consistent rushing touchdowns on top of it. So Dobbs is a suggestion there. As for Montgomery and Kenneth Walker, look, the Bears are an elite run stop defense since week 5, only allowing 2.48 yards per carry on average and only 3.45 fantasy points per game in terms of rushing statistics isolated since week 5. So between those two, I would take Kenneth Walker. I like David Montgomery a lot, but I know that, Jahmyr Gibbs in the overall breakdown that I saw from last week's game, it was like a 60-40 split in terms of snaps, and in terms of touches, it will probably be a lot of Gibbs today, especially within the receiving game. So I'll take Kenneth Walker there. Thank you, Jacob. Moving on to Steve's question. In a half PPR scoring format, I lost Cousins and Watson. That is extremely unlucky. Start Howell or Kyler. So between the two, as of right now, as you guys can see on screen, I have Kyler Murray ranked as 11 and Sam Howell as number 12. So again, back-to-back in my rankings, feel pretty confident rolling with either of them. You said that you were worried about Kyler with one game sample. Yeah, look, if you want to play Sam Howell, that's perfectly fine. They play at home. They're a 9-point favorite. Based on sports books that I have seen as of yesterday. So they're a 9-point favorite. They should be lighting up the scoreboard today in comparison. But the last time they did take on the New York Giants, and the reason why I'm a little bit hesitant on Sam Howell is that they only scored 7 points against that defense last time out. They lost 7-14 against the New York Giants in New York. I know it's in Washington. I know it's a couple weeks, past that overall scenario, but yeah, if Howell doesn't improve from last time out against that team, I think he was like 1 for 11 on third downs conversion last time out against the New York Giants. If he doesn't improve upon that, we'll be in a little bit of trouble. But yeah, I prefer Kyler, but they're back to back. So if you want to roll with Howell, that's fine by me. Your second question there, Steve, was also start 2 between Ayuk, Debo, and Waddle. Ayuk, Debo, Waddle. At this point, Ayuk and Waddle are the two. Waddle first and foremost because he has an incredible matchup. And anytime the Miami Dolphins have played at home this season, they have not scored less than 30 points as an offense or as a team in general. I wouldn't say as an offense because I guess technically there could have been defensive touchdowns in those scenarios. But between, an Ayuk and or Debo option, I think there's just more upside in the receiving game for Ayuk to be a, greater participant within this offense today. So Ayuk and Waddle are my suggestions there, Steve. Thank you. Moving on to Colby's question. Colby says, I have Kincaid and McBride. Which to start, and should I flex one over them, Rice or Addison? So let's see here. Also, RB2, Najee Harris or Henderson. So this is a full PPR. So between Najee Harris and Henderson, I'll take Najee Harris there in a full PPR scoring format. As for your prior question, would I start McBride over a Rice or Addison combo? Let me check where I have McBride. So McBride is right there. And then I have I have Rashi Rice there, and I have Jordan Addison. Where's Addison? Let's look this up. Addison there. Yeah. I have Trey McBride ahead of both of them in a full PPR scoring format. So, Colby, my suggestion would be to play both Kincaid and McBride today, and then Najee Harris as your RB2. Thank you. Appreciate it. I see someone in the chat was saying Ty Chandler with 3 question marks. Again, Ty Chandler, because of Alexander Madison being cleared and having a full participation of practice on Friday, and he's cleared from his concussion protocol, he will be the starting running back of the Minnesota Vikings today. I have Ty Chandler as my number 37 running back. He's still going to get himself utilization. I don't doubt that. He's still going to get himself rushing opportunity within this offense, but he just obviously is not going to be the lone back and getting the full workload of opportunity. That doesn't mean he's obviously not going to be of value. He'll certainly have fantasy value. Last week scored a rushing touchdown even prior to Madison leaving the game, so he could still have value there. But for right now, just waiting on that. I see someone else in the chat also saying defense and kicker rankings. Yeah, if we can get to actually let's move up the number. If we can get to 350 likes, I'll be more than happy to share my kicker and defense rankings on screen in terms of the graphic. Thank you very much. For those of you who are joining us this morning, again, a couple reminders. If you're going to send in a question, whether it's via the chat or via the super chat, be sure to include your scoring format. On top of that, if you guys have been a subscriber and or supporter on Patreon, and you're an active member, the rankings have been posted. If you've signed up using code Andrew via Underdog Fantasy from August 1st, 2023 to yesterday prior to midnight, those rankings have already been sent out this morning. Check your spam folder if you have not received it in your main folder, the email that is associated with your Underdog account. Thank you very much for the support. Okay, moving on to the next question. We have Hugh. Hugh says, standard non-PPR league, as a flex, do I start Jalen Warren? It says Jelly Warren, but yeah. Jalen Warren, tie-dye Lockett. Okay, so now you're just, okay, I get it. This is good. Or Mark Brown. Okay. Thanks, Drew. Winning my league because you're the best. Thank you very much, Hugh. Okay, so between those options, non-PPR scoring format, as of right now, I'd probably just lean towards playing Marquise Hollywood Brown there. If Tyler Lockett was a full go and there was no question as to whether or not he would, be at a full healthy capacity, considering he missed Friday's practice, I'd probably lean in his direction. But for right now, considering we don't have the stability and or comfortability of knowing his current status and how healthy he truly is, I'd lean in the direction of Marquise Hollywood Brown there. More touchdown upside. I think more potential for yardage in comparison to the rest of the bunch. Thank you. Moving on to John Foster's question. Says, full PPR flex, Tyler Lockett or Raheem Mostert? Let's see who I have ranked higher. Let's see. Full PPR, Mostert. Okay, let's see. Where art thou? So I have Tyler Lockett ranked higher than him. Yep. Full PPR, Lockett is higher than Mostert. Thank you. Appreciate it, John Foster. Moving on to Chris R's question. It says, Achane or Addison in the flex standard? I'll take Achane there. Thank you. Again, I don't know if you guys saw the reports from a couple weeks back or even earlier this week. Devon Achane, if they didn't have a week 10 bye, could have played in week 10. Like they knew that he was at a fuller capacity then, and they would have felt comfortable rolling him there. I'm expecting him to not only just, even if he splits touches, that's fine. That's pretty much where we saw him prior to his injury. If he's splitting touches within this backfield, that's fine. It's just a matter of his efficiency with those overall touches and the fact that they take on the Raiders. That's such an enticing overall play there. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Moving on to Colin Smith. Says, full PPR, Warren or JSN? If Lockett is out, I would take JSN. But if he is active, which I'm assuming, I would then play Jalen Warren there. Thank you, Colin. Appreciate it. Moving on to a question that we got in from, where art that question? Anthony Manuel. Anthony, where is your question? Let's see if I can find it. Anthony Manuel. I guess you said it's in a future question because it wasn't attached to the first one. No problem. It says half PPR, Rice, Hunt, Pacheco, Godwin, Lockett. Pick 3. If I'm picking 3.5 PPR at a half PPR capacity, it would pretty much be, let me check here. Yeah. So the 3 that I would suggest would be going Pacheco, Lockett, and Godwin. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Appreciate it, Anthony. Let me scroll back up. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Stephen Drake sends in a question. Stephen, thank you very much. Says, good morning, brother. Played Andrews, half PPR. Yeah, that's rough. All right, so I need 5 out of the following. We have Adams, Amari, Henderson, Achane, Nico Collins, Dell, McBride. Okay, so the 5 that I would suggest playing: HN, Adams, Dell, Nico, and McBride. Again, I'm going to say it again, Stephen Drakes. Devontae Adams, Devontae HN, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Trey McBride. Those are the 5 out of the 7 that you mentioned that I would suggest playing. Thank you. Moving on to Damian Velasquez. Thank you, Damian. It says full PPR. Would you flex Jalen Warren or Jerry Jeudy? I'd much rather flex Jalen Warren. Jerry Jeudy needs like ridiculous touchdown upside to even be able to compete in that overall capacity. Also, who would you drop to activate Achane? Quentin Johnston or Ty Chandler? If you feel like Ty Chandler is going to be a bigger, kind of option within this backfield, or he has a chance of overthrowing, what's his name? Alexander Madison today, then let's probably go in that direction. Let's keep him. Let's drop Quentin Johnston. Otherwise, I mean, look, the thing about Quentin Johnston is outside of that touchdown last week, he really just has not done anything all year. So I wouldn't be broken up about the idea of dropping him in comparison to holding on to a running back in hopes that maybe he wins this backfield, whether it's today or a future week, just in case, because, the commodity of getting a running back off the waiver at this point in the season is relatively thin. So I wouldn't mind taking the gamble on keeping Ty Chandler in that circumstance there in order to activate HN and just dropping Quentin Johnston. Thank you, Damien. Moving on to Bernard. Bernard, thank you very much. Says, should I start Rico or Freeman over Chandler in a full PPR scoring format? And should I start Kent or Evan Ingram? Who the heck is... Am I crazy? Kent? I'm trying to think who the heck that would be over Ingram. Oh, it's Komet. That's what it is. Okay, got it. Okay, got it. So, yes, I do prefer Komet over Ingram. That's why I have ranked higher. As for your prior question, I would take Royce Freeman over the bunch there. I take Royce Freeman over Rico Dowdle, and I would take him over Ty Chandler today. If you prefer, and again, like I've mentioned, if you think that Ty Chandler is going to get enough utilization to overthrow a Madison today, who is active, who is healthy, who cleared concussion protocol, then I guess you could play him. But yeah, I would suggest Freeman there, and I would suggest playing Komet. I only have Warren and Chandler in my lineup. Okay, so basically you'd have to make a swap there, right? At that point, if you don't have anybody to drop off your bench in order to make a swap, considering Freeman, I'm assuming it's Freeman and not Foreman. Considering Freeman is not someone who's going to be a value come next week because of Kyron Williams' return, I'm perfectly fine, Bernard, if you're in a situation where you're like, I can't really drop anybody unless I drop Chandler himself. I'd just keep Chandler on roster next to Warren and just let it roll that way. Thank you again, Bernard. I appreciate it. Moving on, we had a question from Brian. Brian says, trade Deontay Johnson for Kyler Murray. I lost Burrow. Yeah, why not? I mean, look, I don't know the context of the rest of your team, but assuming you have enough wide receiver depth to be able to sustain that, that's fine by me. A reminder, guys, we're about, I think, 23 likes away from me presenting kicker and defensive rankings. I greatly appreciate you guys clicking that like button down below. Thank you very much. Moving on, after Brian's question, we had King Shakur 21 says, what's up, Drewski? I'm 4-6 currently. I need a W. My quarterbacks are Mahomes and Dobbs. Okay, great. Running backs are Pacheco, Singletary, Madison, Garrett Wilson, Tank Dell, KG Osborne, and Brandon Cooks are my wide receivers. Okay, so assuming we're setting your lineup here, King Shakur 21. I play Mahomes. He plays against literally the best matchup of the wide receiver and quarterback positions. The Philadelphia Eagles they're getting torched by quarterbacks and wide receivers on a consistent basis. And I understand that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the best wide receiver kind of group alongside of him, but I'm assuming that he'll probably light them up on Monday night nonetheless. As for your running back conversation, I mean, you have Pacheco, Singletary, Madison. Between those three, I'd rather play Pacheco and Singletary. As for your wide receiver conversation, Tank Dell and Garrett Wilson are the number 1 and 2. If we're going to start one of these options within the flex, it would probably be playing Madison against Denver in that capacity over KG Osborne and Brandon Cooks in their overall situation. So Mahomes, Pacheco, Singletary, Wilson, Dell, and Madison. Thank you. Moving on to Skizzy. Says in a full PPR, 1 flex, Kittle or Derrick Henry. I just saw that the likes have gotten to 393, so I'll go ahead and show those to you guys on screen while I answer questions. Kittle or Derrick Henry in a full PPR scoring format. Man, that is not easy. I will objectively say that yes, you're in a little bit of a pickle there. I do have Derrick Henry ranked higher than him. Is he significantly ranked higher? Not to the capacity to where I'm uncomfortable playing the other option, but I do have Derrick Henry ahead of him today. Thank you very much, Skizzy. B Normie with the question. B Normie, where is your question? It's not attached. Yeah, B Normie, there wasn't a message attached to your super chat. So, yeah. So at this point, do me a solid. Type in the chat and I'll get to you. Andrew Clark with a question says, full PPR, Henry, Achane, Montgomery, Addison, Godwin, Sutton, Nico, McBride, Henderson. Need 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers in a singular flex. Thank you very much. Flash deal coming soon. I don't even know what that means. So let's see. What are we at here? Henry, Achane, Montgomery, Addison, Godwin, Sutton, Nico, McBride. Okay, so considering what you have, Henry and Achane are your starting running backs. I think, yeah, Nico Collins would be your number 1 wide receiver. Your number 2 wide receiver would be Sutton. Your number 3 wide receiver would be Godwin. And the flex option that you would play above the rest would be Trey McBride. So Henry, Achane, Godwin, Sutton, Nico Collins, McBride, Andrew Clark. Thank you very much. I appreciate the question. Moving on to Sam Neimer. Thank you very much. Very generous of you. Says, I have zero clue why I can't move past Calvin Ridley. I need your expert assistance to win the week. I need 1 running back, 1 tight end, and 1 flex. I have Pacheco, Ford, McBride, Kincaid, Ridley, Rashee Rice, full PPR. So yeah, I would play Pacheco at RB1, and I would play McBride and Kincaid as your tight end and flex. I would play them both ahead of Ridley and Rashee Rice today in a full PPR capacity. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Sam. Let's see here. Mr. IND Man says, where do you rank Zay Jones if he plays today? Is he even playing? I'm assuming he's playing because of the question. Like, they haven't come out and said that he's not playing. So my assumption would be that he does, in fact, play. Probably not a good look for the league if he does play, but nonetheless, at this moment, I mean, I don't even have him ranked because I just don't know. Well, actually, hold up. If I was to rank him, theoretically, he would probably be wide receiver 40, 45, probably. So not really close to the list of players that have, that are on screen, but I guess, like if you're in a deep league, could work. LaFlama in the chat says, greetings from Japan. How about that, huh? Shout out. That's awesome. Cameron Kaplan sends in a question, says, full PPR, flex, Javonte Williams, Christian Kirk, or Nico Collins. Let's see who I have ranked the highest out of the bunch. Full PPR. Where's Nico Collins? So Nico Collins there. Where's Christian Kirk? Christian Kirk is there. And where's Javonte? I have both wide receivers ahead of him. I have Nico Collins ahead of the bunch, though. Thank you. All right, let me see. Where the heck did B Normie's question go? B Normie, you got any new questions here? Maybe you typed it in the chat recently. B Normie. There he is. B Normie says, sorry, full PPR. Would you trade Stroud and Kittle for Kyren Williams? My quarterbacks are Stroud, Kyler, Fields. My running backs are Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Dameon Pierce, Hunt. I have McBride as my backup tight end. Would I trade your best quarterback and your best tight end for an RB rest of season? Can we survive off of Kyler and Fields? Yes. Can we survive with McBride in the absence of, or in the return of Zach Ertz? Most likely. What do I want to do with this? I'm okay with the trade, mainly because, well, yeah, look, here's the thing, right? Dameon Pierce, even when he comes back, won't be as, a relevant option to start. Kareem Hunt is a touchdown-dependent machine, but it's still like about 10 points per week, so nothing crazy in a full PPR. Aaron Jones is in a really bad offense. Najee Harris is any moment away from, giving up a rushing touchdown to Jaylen Warren every week. I don't mind the trade. I do want to keep Stroud and Kittle in this circumstance. Like, I have a hard time giving away your best quarterback and your best tight end. Like, I'd rather give away Fields or Kyler with Trey McBride. But if this is the best offer you can get for a running back of that kind of caliber, that is like in a top 15 capacity, I guess you could take it. But Yeah, I would probably wait until, yeah, maybe wait this week out and see if we can get a big performance out of Kyler or Fields and see if you can sell them alongside of Kittle instead of having to move Stroud instead. Thank you for your question, B-Normie. All right, let me scroll back up here. Where are we at? Okay, so a couple more questions that were sent in that we got to address really quickly. Yes, kicker and defense rankings are on screen. Thank you for clicking the like button down below. Appreciate that. I want to go ahead and bring back the quarterback and tight end rankings just so for those of you who have just joined the channel, good morning, welcome. Again, the rankings on screen are up to date as of this morning. They are for a half PPR scoring format and a 4-point per passing touchdown format. Outside of that, again, if you are a supporter of Patreon, rankings are already posted. If you've signed up via Underdog Fantasy, since August 1st, 2023 till yesterday prior to midnight, rankings have been sent. Be sure to check your email and the spam folder associated with your Underdog account. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. We had a question that came in from Arda. Arda says, hey boss, standard, Montgomery or Devonta Smith? In a standard scoring format, 0 points per touchdown. 0 points per touchdown. 0 points per reception. I will take David Montgomery there. Thank you. Moving on to Anthony Manuel. We took care of that question earlier. We've caught up there. Perfect. Top performers only says full PPR. Drop one. Ridley, Rice, Deontay Johnson, or Higgins. If I'm dropping one for the remainder of the season, what do you think about this? It's between Ridley and Higgins. In my mind, just thinking, I'd have to look at the rest of the season strength of schedule on top of that. For right now, I would probably, yeah, if it's right now, if I just had to make a rash decision, I'd probably drop Higgins there. Moving on. We have a question from DK Mitchell. DK, thank you very much. Says, need a W, add Jamar Chase, pick 2, full PPR, RB2 and flex, Singletary, Achane, Mostert, Rashad White, Devontae Smith, and Dell. Okay, so in a full PPR scoring format, in your circumstance, I would probably play Achane and Tank Dell. That's the 1-2 combo that I would roll with. That's your RB2 and that's your flex. Thank you, DK. Appreciate it. Alejandro Gonzalez sends in a question. Thank you, Alejandro. Says flex, half PPR, Kincaid or Darrell Henderson. I'll take Kincaid there this week. Thank you. So yeah, pretty much start both Kincaid and Laporta in your circumstance there. And Alejandro, appreciate it. Jim sends in a question. Says full PPR. I have Swift. Jacobs is starting RB. Swift and Jacobs is my starting RBs. Puka Nacua and Dell are my starting wide receivers. I need 2 flex options. I have Hall, Pollard, Ayuk, Evans. Suggestions. Yeah, my suggestions would probably be to start both the running backs. I'll take Hall and I'll take Pollard there as your flex options there, Jim. Thank you. Moving on to Danny Kent. Says, start 2, Henry, White, Hollywood Brown. Assuming this is a half PPR, even if it's a full PPR, I'm probably still rolling with Henry and Hollywood Brown there. Thank you. Moving on to Dilo. Dilo, thank you. Says, start 1, full PPR, Spears, Woods, Rondell Moore. Spears, Woods, Rondell Moore. Between those 3, the player I have ranked the highest is Rondell Moore. Thank you. Moving on to Frank Grillo's question. Frank, thank you very much. Says, Dell, Singletary, Addison, Gabe Davis, Ridley. Dell, Singletary, Addison, Gabe Davis, Ridley. Yeah, I mean, if you need 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, the 1 wide receiver I would suggest playing there, Frank, would be Tank Dell. And the flex play that I would probably suggest alongside of him would be Devin Singletary. So Dell and Singletary, both Houston Texans, but both great options. Thank you. Cinco2X sends in a question. Cinco, thank you very much. Says full PPR, Warren, Henderson, Madison. Warren was named the starter. Technically, like I've mentioned earlier this week, they named him the starter during the game. The first snap was given to Najee Harris. If you want to roll with Warren, you can. Let me check my rankings, full PPR, just to confirm where I have it ranked. I have Alexander Madison at 24, and I have Jalen Warren at 25. I have Madison 1 spot ahead of him. If you prefer to run with Warren, I have no problem with that at all. Thumbs up. Good to go. Thank you, Cinco. Moving on. Somebody's name is Xbox Turn Off. That's a good one. That's actually a good one. Let's hear Anthony Barrett with a question. Hey, bud, full PPR, Nico Collins or Deontay Johnson today? Yeah, it's 100% Nico Collins. Again, guys, the rankings that are on screen will most likely give you an indication as to where I'm going with an interpositional rankings. Yes, in a half PPR, it is different than a full PPR ranking system, but in terms of like Deontay Johnson sitting at 36 in comparison to Nico Collins, who sits at 17. A half PPR, full PPR shift there won't even make a difference. So, yeah, Nico Collins would be my suggestion there. Anthony Barrett, thank you again. Appreciate it. Moving on to Johnny B205. Says, good morning, Andrew. In a full PPR, Bobby Trees, Jerry Jeudy, or KJ Osborne? Let me see who I have ranked higher. In my wide receiver rankings, I have Jerry Jeudy. I'm not even joking. I have Jerry Jeudy, KJ Osborne, Robert Woods in that order, back-to-back consecutively. So Jerry Jeudy, 48, KJ Osborne, 49, Robert Woods, 50. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from Andrew Davis. Says, half PPR, 10-team. 10-team got a win. Had Burrow, sadly. Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf are starting. But I'm I'm picking between Ridley, Myers, Dotson, JSN, or Evan Ingram in the flex. Under the assumption that, okay, actually, let me check this real quick. Where do the Seahawks, okay, so Seahawks play in the afternoon. So we won't know until Tyler Lockett is a full play until then. So who could we play alongside of this? So in this current circumstance, my suggestion would probably be to play Jahan Dotson. Yeah, it would probably be playing Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson, or I guess technically you could wait. No, Ridley plays in the morning, right? Let me see. Yeah, they do play in the morning. Yeah, my suggestion would be to play Jahan Dotson. Technically, you could still wait and play JSN. I have him ranked 37 amongst all my wide receivers. And if in fact Lockett is out, he would be an even better play. So you could end up playing two Seahawks wide receivers, but if Lockett's in, could be a little bit of a more difficult play within the given week and a half PPR capacity. So I'll lean in the direction of playing Dotson there. Jahan Dotson, thank you. Rob Castle says, I need 3. Waddle, Ayuk, St. Brown, Tank Dell, Addison. My suggestions there, Rob Castle, will be to play St. Brown, of course, first and foremost. Waddle, number 2. Tank Dell, number 3. All top 10 wide receivers within my rankings right now. Thank you. Evoker sends in a question, says, in a 10-team full PPR, my quarterback is Stroud. Running backs are Eckler, ETN. My wide receivers are AJ Brown, Puka Nacua. Tight end is Schultz or McBride in the flex. Schultz or McBride, and in the flex, who would I play? Okay, so in a full PPR capacity, I would suggest playing Trey McBride as your tight end there, Evoker. And in regards to your flex, I would play Nico Collins there. Thank you. Moving on to Grit. Grit says, Herbert still over Dobbs if Allen is out. Allen is not out. He's at a full capacity. Practice fully on Friday. You're good to go there, Grit. I'm still rolling with Justin Herbert against Green Bay. Thank you. All right. Any new reports? What does this say? This is all Aaron Rodgers news. Nothing relevant. Okay, moving on. We have a question that came in from Good Boxing, Bad Boxing. Says full PPR, start 2. Javonte Williams, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams. Between the bunch, probably Javonte Williams and Garrett Wilson there as the 1-2 combo. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Let me see. We're good to go there. Yeah, we're good to go. Okay, perfect. So scrolling down, we're catching up here slowly but surely. I appreciate you all's support. Again, for those of you who are joining us this morning, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Again, the rankings on the right side of the screen are updated as of this morning. So if you guys have interpositional questions, they're there. If you have a question, hopefully by answering somebody else or potentially answering yours directly, I can get to your question. Again, we'll be here for the next 2 hours and 40 minutes. At any moment, what I'll just go ahead and do randomly is I'll change the rankings on screen to just present kicker and defense rankings, and then I'll just kind of switch back. So just keep that in mind. Thank you. Okay, moving on. We had Oskino. Oskino had a question, and it was trade Smitty, as in Devonta Smith, I'm assuming, and Henry for Adams, Connor, and Ramondre going forward. Devonta Smith and Derrick Henry for Adams, Connor, and Ramondre. I feel like that especially if you need running back, let's see. I have Christian McCaffrey, Swift, with Kyron Williams coming back off the IR, Deontay Johnson, or Samuel in the meantime. So basically, you're stacked at running back. You're basically just looking to try to improve at wide receiver, technically, I guess, by bringing in Adams ahead of Devonta Smith going forward. I'm okay with that. I mean, technically, you'll probably start McCaffrey, Swift, and Kyron Williams remainder of the season. So if this is just a trade to improve at wide receiver, considering how stacked you are, I'm fine with it. That's not a problem. In the meantime, I'll take Deebo Samuel over Deontay Johnson there. Oskini, thank you very much. Brian R with a question says, Herbert or Foreman? I think Foreman is the guy that'll probably get the bulk of the touches in this circumstance. When they asked the head coach of the Chicago Bears whether Herbert would be the starter, he said that they've both earned the opportunity to get touches this week. So we're going to use them to the best of their ability. So he wouldn't even kind of establish whether Herbert was the starter. I'm assuming that Foreman's done enough in the absence of Herbert to earn the starting position. So I'll lean in his direction this week. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from, let's see here, DeAndre Thompson. Thank you very much. It says, I need a flex. Ayuk, Singletary, Laporta. Okay, so under the assumption, let's see here. Where do I have them ranked in half PPR? Ayuk. That's not it. Ayuk. So I have Ayuk there. I have Singletary there. And then I have Laporta there. So I have them ranked Ayuk, Laporta, Singletary in that exact order. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Moving on. Let's see here. Where's the next question at? Let's find. There's so many. So many questions. Any weathers affecting today's game? Stuart said in the chat. Let me see here. NFL weather report. Let's see if there's anything that's any concerning weather situation. So clear weather, clear dome stadium. Yep. The only game that has any clear potential for weather affecting it is Broncos tonight, but it's less than a 50% chance of rain. So there's nothing tonight that has a weather effect. Everything else is either in a dome or has 0% chance of potential. I mean, technically in Jacksonville, there's a 1% chance of rain. I doubt it rains there. So for now, yeah, there's no weather that's affecting today's games. Thanks for the question, though. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Zarif with a question says, happy week 11. DK Metcalf or Javonte Williams, full PPR rest season. I think that's just a matter of what you need on your roster. I don't know if I can objectively say one way or the other. I will say that I really do like Javonte Williams' usage as of late, to the extent to where if he continues to score touchdowns, he'll probably outscore DK Metcalf in a lot of capacities. But considering I just don't know what your team is in need of. If you need a wide receiver one, I think DK Metcalf's the guy. If you need like someone who's on the cusp of potentially being an RB1 rest of season, Javonte's your guy. So I think it's just a matter of what you need on roster. If you're just looking for hey, who am I flexing for the remainder of the year? I would approach it with just taking DK Metcalf there. Thank you. Enemies Within says Mostert or Puka Nacua, half PPR. Warren or Addison, full PPR. Okay. So Mostert or Puka Nacua, half PPR. I'd go with Puka Nacua there. Warren or Addison, full PPR. Let me check who I have ranked higher currently. Let's go to Addison. So Addison's there. Where's Warren in comparison? I have Warren ranked below Jordan Addison today. So Jordan Addison would be the suggestion in a full PPR. Puka Nacua would be the suggestion in a half PPR. Thank you. All right, so this name is spelled E-E-E-H. Okay, so whatever that means. Says, so A says, drop Tyjae Spears for Royce, Amari Cooper, or McBride in the flex. I'd rather have McBride in the flex. Am I dropping Tyjae Spears for Royce Freeman today? I don't think that their separation of value is significant enough for me to make a conscious effort to make the swap, especially considering Royce Freeman is not going to be a value after this week. So I'd probably just keep Tyjae Spears for now and flex McBride. Thank you. Moving on to Mr. Righteous. Says, toss up between Stroud or Purdy. Both favorable matchups. Yeah, they're both great. So it's just a matter of who. Look, the only thing that I have, I could very easily see Christian McCaffrey putting together a game in which he has 3 rushing touchdowns. Any week he's capable of doing so. On the other hand, right, the Houston Texans offense, yes, they have a running back that scored a touchdown last week, but they're not as capable of kind of getting into that overall situation. So that's why I kind of lean in the direction of playing Stroud. I think that matchup could also be a little bit more competitive in the idea that it could be more back and forth to where it keeps the starters in the game longer rather than Purdy kind of only passing the ball 25 times within the given game and kind of shutting down in the second half because they're up such a huge amount of points. I mean, that's kind of the thought process I'm having in terms of game script and potential there. So I'll go with Stroud there. Charlene in the chat says, hey, Andrew, are you ready for week 13? Week 13 is a disaster. Am I ready? Kind of, sort of. I think let's get to week 12 first. Let's finish week 11. Let's get to week 12 because week 12 we have 3 Thursday games. I'll have to have rankings out by, I think wide receiver and running back rankings are going to come out both on Tuesday, and then quarterback tight end rankings on Wednesday. Live stream Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Expect that for next week. But yes, let's get to week 11. Let's see how this works. And then we'll get to week 13 eventually with the 6 teams on bye. Moving on to the end zone. Sends in a question. Thank you very much. Says, PPR, need 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. Sutton, Ferguson, Curtis Samuel, Brandon Cooks, Jahan Dotson, Hollywood Brown. 2 wide receivers would be Hollywood Brown and Curtis Samuel. Sorry, scratch the record. Hollywood Brown and Cortland Sutton would be the 2 wide receivers, 1 and 2. The flex in this overall scenario is between Ferguson and probably Jahan Dotson or Brandon Cooks. I'll lean in the direction of playing Jake Ferguson there. So I'll take Sutton, Hollywood, Ferguson. Thank you. End zone. Moving on to George Cook. Says half PPR bench 1. Dell, Ayuk, Javonte, Aaron Jones. If I'm benching 1 this week, wow. I probably end up benching Aaron Jones there. Actually, I got to think about this. No. It wouldn't be Aaron Jones. It's between him and Javonte Williams. Man, they're back-to-back. Do I bench Ayuk instead and just play both running backs? Let me check who I have ranked highest in my half PPR rankings. Where do I have Ayuk in comparison? So Ayuk is ranked lower than both those running backs. I have Aaron Jones at 28, Javonte Williams 29, Ayuk at 32. Dell's ahead of him. So yeah, Ayuk would be the benched one in a half PPR capacity, which I don't love, considering I like all 4 of these players. But in this circumstance, yeah, I'd play Dell, Javonte, Aaron Jones. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from Chris Foy. Says, full PPR, start 2, White, Pollard, Connor, Singletary, Chandler. Oh, okay, first and foremost, let's get to that. Between the bunch of players that you just mentioned, in a full PPR capacity, let me see. I know I have Rachaad White ranked higher. I don't know if he's significantly higher. Yeah, he is higher, but I still have Singletary ahead of him. So I would be Singletary and Pollard there as the 1-2 RB combo. And then your follow-up is I also have Diggs, Puka Nacua, and McBride as my 2 wide receivers in my flex. Yeah, I'm fine with that. That works for me. So Pollard, Singletary, Puka, Diggs, McBride. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Moving on. Chris B, the RD, says, full PPR, pick 2, Javonte Williams, Aaron Jones, Puka Nacua. Already played Boyd this week, who got me 5 points. Yeah, that's rough. That is definitely rough. The unfortunate injury to Joe Burrow obviously derails that play, but it is what it is. Let me see. Full PPR capacity. It would be Aaron Jones and Puka Nacua this week there, Chris. Thank you. Moving on to K-Style. Says, good morning, Andrew. Full PPR. Mahomes, Diggs, Lamb, Eckler, Etienne, Kincaid. I need a flex between Puka, K9, DJ Moore, and Tank Dell. Between those options in your flex, I'd go with Tank Dell. It's either Tank Dell or Puka Nacua. I think they're both incredible options, but I'll take Tank Dell this week. Thank you. Let's see here. Rockout says 1 flex, Chandler, JSN, Dotson, Rondell Moore, or Jaden Reed. Out of the group, if I'm only starting 1, I'd probably roll with Jaden Reed there. Yeah, Jaden Reed's probably the highest ranked player that I have out of the group that you mentioned. He's just ahead of Jahan Dotson, so I could lean in the direction of Dotson. I could probably coin toss that between the 2, but yeah, it's probably one of those 2, and I'll take Jaden Reed for now. Thank you. Moving on to Oken, O-K-E-N. Thank you very much. Says half PPR. Deciding between Ridley and Cooks to start. Already starting Ingram. Thoughts? I have Brandon Cooks. Where do I have him ranked? In a half PPR capacity, he is number 38, so he's just off screen. Just barely off screen. So, I mean, at this point, I would like to assume that Trevor Lawrence in this offense kind of improves their passing game potential. When earlier this week, the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars was asked about the lack of usage of Calvin Ridley, he almost got defensive about it. I don't know. Maybe he figures it out this week and sends the ball in his direction. At this point, if Zay Jones ends up playing today, it could be a game in which you just play Cooks and you don't even worry about it, and you don't, double stack Jacksonville Jaguars. But for right now, I'd lean towards Ridley. Also, a follow-up question there from Oken says, drop 1, JSN, Chandler, Higgins to activate Achane. I'd probably drop Chandler in that circumstance. Thank you. Moving on. Let's see here. Where are we at? Okay, let me change the rankings to kicker and defense. For those of you guys who need it in the chat, thank you very much. Appreciate y'all. If you guys haven't yet already, do me a favor. Click the like button down below. It certainly helps the channel a lot. Thank you. Ollie H sends in a question. Says, full PPR. Flex Cooper, Quentin Johnston, or Spears. If I'm flexing one of the 3 in a full PPR capacity, I would most likely play Amari Cooper there. Yeah. Not even just most likely. I think that's just the best play out of the bunch. I know that Quentin Johnston will probably get himself more utilization this week, but it's tough to trust him. I think Darnell Parham is probably a better play than Quentin Johnston in some circumstances. Roy Shaver sends in a question, says, standard scoring, I need 2 flex options from Henderson, Hunt, Gabe Davis, JSN. In a standard scoring format, oftentimes we need players that are just going to be touchdown upside. Like at this moment, I'm leaning towards Gabe Davis and Kareem Hunt under the assumption that they can find the end zone. So that's kind of the direction I'm leaning in. The issue with the primary issue with the Buffalo Bills offense is that they don't really run an offensive scheme that kind of is based on, I mean, they're almost like they're just running coverage beaters. Like if they see a cover 4, they're going to run a beater against. If they see 2 high safeties, they're going to try to run a post over the middle. Like they're running beaters rather than running an actual scheme and a concept that like plays off each other within a singular formation. So I think it could be a tough week for Gabe Davis. I almost want to be careful with it. I'd probably just say go with Henderson and Hunt just to be safe. But if you want like ultimate upside, if you had an injury earlier this week with like an Andrews or a Burrow or a Chase who had an underwhelming performance, Gabe Davis and Hunt is probably the highest upside there. Thank you. Mark A says, why is nobody talking about Brandon Cooks' breakout last week? Exciting athlete, and Dak has looked great. Yeah, look, this is the thing, right? So Dak Prescott has looked great for what? I'd say 3 consecutive weeks now. Like he's been at a really high level of production. The issue is that in 3 weeks of overall production in which Dak Prescott has been lighting it up, Brandon Cooks has only just had 1 good game. Let me look at this. So he had, technically, I guess the LA Rams scored a touchdown. So technically 2 good games. The biggest issue that I have is that if we get into a situation against Carolina, just like we talked about last week, to where the Dallas Cowboys take such a significant lead or their defense scores, it could be a game in which these overall options kind of disappear. That being said, yes, Brandon Cooks, number 38 on my list. That's where I have him. Knowing this comment itself, Mark, now that you've said it and you've put it out in the universe, probably Brandon Cooks scores a touchdown, just to spite me. But hey, I don't mind that. I mean, I'll take it. I have Brandon Cooks starting in one of my leagues. Let's see here. Rockout says, or Foreman. Okay, what the heck does that mean? Rockout, where's your prior question? Chandler JSN. Yeah, no, I don't want Foreman. Just keep Jaden Reed as a suggestion there, Rockout. Thank you. Sean Anthony sends in a question, says, Dallas fan here. Having trouble between benching Allen for Dak, though. I wouldn't even question it. If you're a true Dallas fan, listen, brother, I understand true Dallas fans are the most, actually depends, right? If you're completely oblivious to what's happening, then you're just like a hopeless optimist, and you're just you're rolling with it and you're just letting the momentum take you. I would probably suggest leaning in that direction because they've looked so great as of late. The issue that I have with Josh Allen is that he just doesn't play well against the Jets. It's just that you even go back to last year, he just doesn't have great games consistently against the Jets. That defense really does force a lot of troubles and a lot of turnovers as of late to elite quarterbacks. So yeah, I'm leaning towards Dak there. But yeah, as a primary Rams and Chargers fan, I'm probably the most negative fan you'll probably ever meet. I will talk the most garbage about my own teams, mainly because I know what they're capable of, and when they're not living up to that expectation, it does hurt. So I can understand the idea of having Dak on roster and being a Dallas fan and not wanting to start him over Josh Allen. If you don't want to start him, throw in Josh Allen, it's fine. But I prefer Dak. Thank you. Moving on to Aiden Johnson. Says PPR. Wide receiver 2, RB1, 2 flex options. Okay. You have Hall, Achane, Jacobs, DK, Dell Evans. Okay, so let's see here. RB1 out of the group is probably Breece Hall. Let me check. In a full PPR, who do I have ranked highest out of the bunch? Yeah, Breece Hall is the highest out of the bunch. Moving on to the 2 flex. Okay, so let's see. Wide receiver 2 out of the bunch would be Tank Dell. And then the 2 flex options in this overall circumstance would probably end up being, so you have Achane, Jacobs, DK, and Evans. Let me see who has ranked highest. Let's scroll over here a little bit. Okay, so where do I have DK and Evans in comparison to Achane and Jacobs? So let's look up Metcalf. Metcalf's there. Where's Achane? Achan's there. Evans is there. And where is Jacobs? Jacobs is there. Yeah. So okay. So here's my suggestion for right now. Aiden Johnson. Wide receiver 2 is Dell. RB1 is Hall. DK Metcalf. Mike Evans in your flex. Thank you. All right. Moving on. A. Daniel says full PPR, Hollywood or Jerome Ford in the flex. I'll take Jerome. Sorry. I'll take Hollywood Brown there. Apologies. The most recent name just jumped out of my mouth for some reason. Anyway. Yeah, I'll take Hollywood Brown there against the Houston Texans. Thank you. Tommy Gunn sends in a question. Thank you, Tommy. Very generous. Says, being that Diggs is going against the New York Jets, front with Sauce guarding. Yeah, Sauce Gardner doesn't travel with wide receivers. Like the last time that they took each other on, I think he was matched up against Sauce Gardner on like 15 of the overall like 45 routes that he ran. So very seldom is it a one-on-one matchup between the two. And typically they're trying to, if Diggs is going to be on, hopefully if they utilize it the correct way, and the new offensive coordinator comes in and makes some changes. If Diggs is on the same side as Tank Dell, hopefully they'll motion him to the other side and get him open. Anyway, to get to your question, should I take him down and put in Devonta Smith because Goddard is out now? No, I would still play Stephon Diggs. You go back to week 1, just look at the production of Stephon Diggs there. That's what I'm anticipating to see. All right, Oskini sends in a question. Or Oskino, sorry. Says, KJ, Deontay, or Curtis Samuel. I need 2 to fill in for this week. Yeah, if I'm playing 2 of those guys, Oskino, I'd play Deontay Johnson and Curtis Samuel. Thank you. Moving on to Llama Drama. Says, traded Amari Cooper. Let me change the rankings real quick on screen. Okay. Traded Amari Cooper, Ridley, White for A.J. Brown. Have Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Adams, Deontay, Eckler, Breece Hall, Swift, Javonte, Kyler, Tila, McBride. How did I do? You traded Amari Cooper, Ridley, and White for A.J. Brown. I mean, considering the roster you have, considering you have Eckler, Breece Hall, and Swift, and Javonte, and then considering you have Amon-Ra and Adams already, like, you're already stacked enough on this team to where I'm perfectly fine with that trade. I have no problem at all. I mean, obviously you gave a pretty, I mean, Amari Cooper without Deshaun Watson could be a significantly lesser play. Ridley hasn't done much, and Rachaad White is significantly, dependent on getting himself into good matchups. So for right now, I love the trade. I'll take it. Thank you. Moving on. Someone in the chat says, no love for Freiermuth. I just don't like the matchup against the Cleveland Browns. Not at all. Why are there commercials on live stream? YouTube has changed their new monetization system to where they just roll. They just roll by themselves. I don't even do anything. It just rolls. Let's see here. Charles sends in a question. Says, full PPR, 8 teams, start Achane, Mostert, or Henry in my RB2. Pick one. If I'm only picking one, I'm playing Achane there. Follow-up question, and Puka Nacua, Nico Collins, or Tyler Lockett in the flex. If I'm playing only one of those options in the flex, Puka, Nico, or Lockett, alongside of the rest of the guys you also mentioned, I play Puka. So it'd be HN and Puka there. That would probably be my suggestion. And then also stack Stroud with Nico Collins or Josh Allen. I mean, look, if you're just going off the rankings I have, Charles, I would go HN, I'd go Josh Allen, and I'd go Puka Nacua. Thank you. That is my suggestion. Alrighty. Brian the Lion says, 2 questions. Kyler Murray or Tua? I'll take Tua. Again, like I mentioned earlier, the Miami Dolphins haven't scored less than 30 points at home this season. So they're probably going to light it up. Also, Bills defense or Miami defense? If I'm not mistaken, the defenses that I have ranked the highest, the Bills are number 4, Miami is number 8. So that's the direction I would go with. Play the Bills defense today. Thank you. All right, moving on. We had a question that came in from Logan Semple. Logan, hope you're doing well. Says, good morning, Andrew. Standard flex, running back / tight end. Would you play Darrell Henderson or Ferguson in a standard? I don't have any standard rankings, so typically this is just off the dome. If I'm just going to assume one has a higher likelihood of a touchdown, it's probably Jake Ferguson, considering he's done it 3 weeks in a row. But I do expect to see Tony Pollard score some points today. So, a lot of points today. That's why I have him as, ranked as high as I do. So, let's see what I want to do here. I'll probably just lean in the direction of playing Ferguson. thing that scares me primarily with Henderson is Royce Freeman. Thank you. Moving on to Twisted Folk, says in a full PPR, I have Marquise Brown, I have Rashad White, and I have Trey McBride. Thank you. In a full PPR, I'd rather play Trey McBride over the bunch. Thank you. Okay. Couple reminders. For those of you who have joined us this morning, welcome. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Of course, the rankings that are on screen to the right of me are updated as of this morning. So if you have a question within an interpositional question, ranking is such, half PPR, 4 point per passing touchdown, the rankings on the right side of the screen should give you the answer. Of course, there are some pieces of information such as Alexander Madison being active today. That obviously shoots him ahead of Ty Chandler, who probably would have been in that spot, if not higher, if there wasn't an Alexander Madison active. But that's something that I know many of you guys have commented on already on the stream, but just keep that in mind. Also, again, if you need defensive kicker rankings, I typically rotate that as we progress throughout the live stream. So just keep that in mind. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Moving on, JJ's Watch Hangout says, start 2, Collins, Laporta, Warren, Jacoby Myers. If I'm starting 2 in a full PPR scoring for my JJ, I'd play Collins alongside of Laporta. Thank you. Hip Hop Block says, sounds crazy, but Mahomes or Dobbs? Yeah, I mean, look, at this point, there's no way I'm going up against, I'm not going to suggest playing Dobbs over Mahomes. I feel like Mahomes has kind of already done his he's proven in the past that he can very easily be the highest scoring quarterback within a given week. Now, Dobbs has been incredible as of late. I'll give him that. But there's no way I'm not starting Mahomes against one of the easiest matchups that he could possibly face against that secondary that can't stop a nosebleed. So I'll take Mahomes there in that circumstance. I understand the logic, though. It's not a crazy question. I understand the logic, though, hip-hop. Darian sends in a question, says, pick 2, Singletary, Derrick Henry, or DeAndre Swift. For now, I'll take Derrick Henry and DeAndre Swift. Follow-up question, Thielen or Tank Dell? I'll take Tank Dell. Thank you, Darian. Moving on to Eater. Eater's question is full PPR, Kyler Murray or Joshua Dobbs? I'll take Josh Dobbs there. Thank you. Moby1 Kenobi says, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, in a singular flex. I have Eckler, Etienne, Achane, Waddle, Lamb, Nakua, Debo, Aaron Jones, Montgomery. Thanks, Andrew. Hit the like button. Thank you, Martin. Appreciate it. Okay, so Moby's question, 2 wide receivers. Out of the bunch, we have Lamb, obviously got to be the number 1 starting player. The number 2 has to be Waddle. Assuming Waddle stays healthy, the guy's been averaging over 16 fantasy points per game and a half PPR in the last 3 healthy games he's played. So he's probably the go-to as your number 2 there. As for the 2 starting running backs, I got to roll with Etienne and Eckler. They've just been far too consistent. As for your flex, Moby one, I want to play Achane, but if it's a full PPR scoring format, let me see. Do I have Nakua ranked higher? Let's see, Puka. I have Puka Nakua 3 spots ahead of Achane in a full PPR scoring format today. So that's the direction I probably lean towards. Playing Puka Nakua as your flex with Eckler, Etienne as your RB1 and 2, Lamb and Waddle as your wide receiver 1 and 2. Thank you. Moving on to Rob F. Says, hey, Andrew. Been a while. I've got a tough one. Start 2 running backs, 1 flex. We have Nico, Pollard, Walker, Montgomery, full PPR, 8 and 2. Yeah, at this point, I'm probably playing Pollard, Kenneth Walker, and Nico Collins. I'm benching Montgomery. I don't like the idea of it, considering how much success he has had this season. Every single game he has played healthy, he has scored a rushing touchdown minimum. But in the full PPR capacity, considering the matchup on top of it, which I do not love in any sort of world, taking on Chicago Bears one-stop defense, I'll take the other 3 options there, Rob. Long time no see. Thank you very much for the support again, Rob. The Elite One sends in a question, says, Josh Allen or Josh Dobbs? I get it. Trust me. I understand. I fully understand the logic there. I'm going to roll with Josh Allen. It's right here. Boom, Josh Allen, Josh Dobbs. If you want to play Josh Dobbs ahead of Josh Allen, 100% fine with it. I don't have a problem with that. Not at all. But I would, if it's my team, I'm playing Josh Allen. I have a hard time not doing that. E-Man sends in a question, says, I already have Allen as my wide receiver 1, Kupp or Nakua as my wide receiver 2. I'd rather have Cooper Kupp as your wide receiver 2. Thank you. Amato sends in a question. Amato Britton says, full PPR 10-team league. I have Achane, Waddle, and McBride starting. Okay. Stack Tua and Waddle or Murray and McBride. I'd rather have Tua and Waddle. Since Miami will most likely be run heavy, I don't think they'll technically have to be run heavy. But yeah, I'd still prefer to play Tua in this overall capacity. Obviously, getting back Achane could lead, and obviously the matchup in itself could lead them to being run heavy, especially if they mount a huge lead. But I think they're going to light up the scoreboard pretty early, to the point to where Tua will get his utilization. We don't really have to worry about it. And if in fact the Las Vegas Raiders make this a competitive game, even better. More of a back and forth, so Tua is even more valuable in the second half. That'd be even better. But yeah, that's my suggestion for now. Thank you, Amato. Jordan Archibald. Let's see here, Jordan Archibald. Where art thou? Says, if Madison is out, which he's not, he's playing today. It's good to go. Would you start Ty Chandler over Herbert or Foreman? So yeah, Madison is playing today. Because Madison's playing, I will not start Ty Chandler over Herbert or Foreman. I do have Ty Chandler literally number 37 right behind Herbert. So technically you could play him over Herbert, assuming maybe he plays more than Herbert in the overall return. So I could understand that overall logic if you want to play Chandler over Herbert. But for right now, Madison is returning. He's not out. He's cleared concussion protocol. He is playing. Thank you. Moving on. We had a question that came in from Colin Smith. Colin, thank you very much. Says full PPR. Start 2, Hopkins, Addison, McBride. If I'm starting 2 in a full PPR capacity, it's probably Hopkins alongside of McBride. Let me just check real quick just to ensure. No, it's not. It's Jordan Addison and McBride this week. Thank you. I have Jordan Addison ranked higher in a full PPR. Appreciate it. Moving on to W. White 1981. Says safe floor this week, 6 point per touchdown. Josh Allen or Herbert. Okay, so let's hear this. Okay, let's just hear me out potentially here. If there was ever going to be a week in which the Buffalo Bills offense needed to play well, this is the week. Against a division rival that is on their heels, or not on their heels, but are nipping at their toes to potentially take the playoff spot from them. I would assume if there's any week for Josh Allen to have himself a breakout kind of resurgence game, this is the week for him to do it. That being said, if you're worried about it, you just want to roll out, Justin Herbert in that circumstance against Green Bay, it's a better matchup to say the very least. That's a given. Earlier this week, I had Justin Herbert ranked higher than Josh Allen. I just changed just slightly, just swapped them really quickly as of yesterday. I could understand it. If you want the safe 6 point per passing touchdown, yeah, if you want safe floor, it's Justin Herbert. That's what it is. Josh Allen has the upside. Thank you. Moving on to Alex Olivas says, Andrew, in a half PPR, unfortunately started Flowers and Keaton on Thursday Night Football. Of all the players that, got screwed over, Flowers. They called an offensive pass interference on OBJ blocking downfield. One of the most ridiculous calls I've ever seen. I need 2 flex options. DJ Moore, McBride, Madison, or Ridley. In a half PPR scoring format, I played McBride alongside of DJ Moore there. Alex, thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to Javarius. Javarius, thank you very much. Says half PPR, flex 1, Garrett Wilson or Kenneth Walker. Between the two, I'd rather have Kenneth Walker in a half PPR. Thank you. Moving on to Harris's question. Harris says full PPR, flex, Addison, Nico, Javonte, McBride. Damn, that's a good question. Javonte or Nico or McBride. That's pretty much where it is at this point. It would be Nico Collins this week. Thank you. I would go Nico, Javonte, McBride in that order. Boom, boom, boom. Appreciate it. Okay, we had a question that came in from Dylan. Dylan, thank you very much. Dylan says in a 12-team PPR scoring format, I need 1 for the flex, Connor, McBride, or JSN. In a full PPR, I think I have McBride ahead of Connor. Let me just confirm this. McBride is there, and Connor is there. Yeah, I have McBride ahead of Connor this week in a full PPR and ahead of JSN. Down some points due to Andrews' injury. Mark Andrews. Should I pick? Okay. Yeah. So for right now, I'll lean towards playing McBride in a PPR capacity. As for your follow-up, especially considering it's an advantageous matchup against Houston. Follow-up question, should I start Dak or Mahomes? Again, the rankings on screen is what I would suggest. So Mahomes at 2, Dak at 3. If you want to play Dak over him, I don't have a problem with it. But I do think that they're both going to play extremely well this week. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Evan. Evan says, good morning. I started Andrews on Thursday. I have 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 2 flex spots remaining. So okay, so let's see. Who do we start? You have Rashad White, Ford, Amari Cooper, Garrett Wilson, Deebo Samuel, Achane, McBride, Hunt, and Herbert. Okay, so Achane is an RB that I would start alongside of Rashad White. So those are the 2 running backs I would suggest playing. Achane, Rashad White. The 2 wide receivers I would suggest playing this week are Garrett Wilson and Deebo Samuel. The 2 flexes I would suggest playing this week, Evan, would be McBride alongside of Jerome Ford there. Thank you. Appreciate it, Evan. If it's a full PPR, I play McBride alongside of Amari Cooper. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to Joseph Tyler. Let's see here, Joseph. Where you at? Joseph. No message attached to it. Joseph, do me a solid. Type in the chat what your message is. Appreciate it. Okay. Any new updates? Nothing new. Okay, crazy. Let's go. Next, we had... Yeah, why isn't anything attached to your questions, Joseph? Just type in the chat, Joseph. Oh, actually, you did. There you go. Never mind. I got it. Donald Parham or Logan Thomas, Chargers defense or Commanders defense. Okay, so Logan Thomas is at 12. Donald Parham's at 15, so I'll take Logan Thomas there. As for the Commanders defense or the Chargers defense, I think that was your question as well. I would rather have the Commanders defense. I have them at number 3. The fact of the matter is, unfortunately, the Giants just can't score offensively. I think in the first quarter of games this season, they're averaging 1 point per quarter, 1 point in the first quarter, 3 points in the second quarter, 3 points in the third quarter, and 3.9 points in the fourth quarter. They are the worst team in the league right now. So yeah, I'll take the Commanders defense. I'll take Logan Thomas. They're both great options, him and Parham, but for right now, I'd lean in that direction. Thank you, Joseph. I saw your question. You had sent in another one later on. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. We had a question that came in from, where art thou? Let's scroll back up here. We had a question from McF1988. Says, Kyler or Purdy, 6 point per passing touchdown. In that format, I'll take Purdy. Thank you. Moving on to Corey Mickey. Says, full PPR, 12-man league, Chuba Hubbard or Devin Singletary. I'll take Devin Singletary there, Corey. Thank you. Michael Amato says, morning, Andrew. 12-team full PPR, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. Pacheco versus the Eagles, number 1 run stop defense, or Musgrave versus the terrible Chargers tight end defense. I would still legitimately play Pacheco. Yeah, I mean, if it was a better tight end that had far more target upside, I would say yes, let's roll with it. But Musgrave, since we saw the return of what's his name, Christian Watson, from the injury that he had earlier on in the season for the first month of the season, after that, Musgrave, I know he's had a couple games where he's left due to injury, but unfortunately there's been a lot of circumstances where he just doesn't get enough target opportunity, and even when he does, it's just not accurate potential targets. So for right now, yeah, I'd still lean in the direction of playing Pacheco, even against a tough run stop defense, because I know the opportunity at least will be there in that circumstance. And I know that Pacheco, from what he's already established earlier this season, is capable in terms of a receiving option. Thank you. Moving on to Charles R. Charles R says, in a half PPR, replace Andrews with Schultz or McBride. As in rest of season or as in this week? The rest of season rankings video that I posted earlier this week on Friday is available. As of right now, if you go and check out the video, the ranking will kind of give you an understanding as to which way I would go in that circumstance. Let's see here. Where the heck is this thing? If I'm not mistaken, I have McBride ahead of him. Let me check. Tight end rankings. I had McBride at 6, and I have Dalton Schultz at 9. So if we're talking about rest of the season, I'll take McBride there. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate it. And also Vikings defense, question mark. As in for this week, Viking defense, I guess, could be solid. I mean, they've played well as of late. Do I trust them in comparison to the other defenses that I have ranked on screen earlier on? No. Thank you. Oh, this is a rest of season question. Got it, Charles. So Vikings rest of season defense. Let's see here. Actually, while I'm still here, let me look at their schedule. Minnesota Vikings. They have Chicago, then a bye week. Then they have Las Vegas, Cincinnati, Detroit, and Green Bay. So technically, I like them against Las Vegas and Cincinnati, week 14 and 15. Detroit in week 16, do not like that at all. Week 17 against Green Bay, I also like that. So 3 out of the last 4 weeks are great. Unfortunately, have a week 13 bye, so you'll have to figure out something in that circumstance. But yeah, rest of the season, I don't mind them. Moving on to a question from Gunny. Gunny, thank you very much. Says, Andrew, I'm on the fence with starting Lockett as he'll be playing with a bum hamstring. Yeah, that is unfortunate, but we'll have to see if he's even active. He might not even be active, Gunny. And the Rams spanked them in week 1. That is correct. Looking to start Ty Chandler instead in a half PPR. What do you say? If Madison wasn't active, I would be all the way in with that overall idea. Considering Alexander Madison is active and Ty Chandler will have backfield competition to the point to where he is going to be the RB2, I'm assuming in this backfield, I have a hard time not leaning in the direction of Lockett. So would my primary suggestion would most likely be, is there any alternative options in case? Damn. I was going to say something of the extent to where, yeah, okay, so this is my suggestion. If we get to the afternoon game, 1:25 Pacific Standard Time, Tyler Lockett is inactive, then you go ahead and you play Ty Chandler at night. Otherwise, I would prefer to play Tyler Lockett, even with the injury, if in fact he's active, of course. Maybe another alternative option could work in your circumstance, assuming some guys like, I mean, I doubt like someone like Brandon Cooks is available in your league, but if JSN's available, I doubt that as well. Other guys that I have relatively higher ranked that aren't on screen, Rondell Moore could be a solid option in comparison to just rolling with Ty Chandler as a backup. Those are just a couple sneaky plays. Thank you. Parker A sends in a question, says Ridley, Watson, Spears, or Charbonnet? I have Ridley ranked the highest. I understand Watson and the potential there. If you're looking for extremely high upside, I guess Watson could potentially get there. Spears and Charbonnet are either going to put up 5 to 10 points. That's about it. So that's pretty much the 5 to 8 points probably. Yeah, and a half PPR, 5 to 8 points seems about fair. So I'd roll with Ridley there. If you feel like Watson could have a great game, I expect that Dobbs and Jaden Reed are the guys that probably get themselves utilization, but it wouldn't surprise me if if Christian Watson had himself a solid game. So for right now, I mean, I'm suggesting Ridley, but I don't mind the idea of Watson. Thank you. Moving on to, let's see here. Kowalski says, full PPR, David Montgomery or Nico Collins? I'll take Nico Collins there. I started Burrow and Jamar this week already. Yeah, so I'll take Nico there. Let's hope for the high upside of that performance. Thank you. Alex Rath says Josh Allen or CJ Stroud. The rankings are on screen. I'm going with Josh Allen. Thank you. Hampy says full PPR, start 3, Montgomery, Barkley, Pollard, Swift. Of those 3 options, I'll take Montgomery, I'll take Pollard, and I'll take Swift. Do I have Barkley ranked higher than Montgomery in full PPR? No, I don't even have him ranked higher. So Montgomery, Pollard, Swift as your 3 running backs. As to start 2 at wide receivers, Smith, Cooper, Johnson, and Godwin. I'll take Smith and I'll take Godwin there. Hampy, thank you. Again, for those of you who have joined us this morning, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. Let me go ahead and change the rankings on screen back to quarterback and tight end. Welcome. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. The rankings on screen are updated as of this morning. I understand that some of these overall questions that you have may not be answered via the questions that are, or on, based on the rankings that are on screen, considering maybe you have a flex question of that capacity. Hopefully I can get to that question overall. But again, the rankings are on screen. So when someone in the chat asks, hey, would you play Cole Kmet or Evan Ingram? Again, Cole Kmet sits at, what is he at? He's at number 7 and Evan Ingram sits at number 10. So hopefully that kind of gives you an indication as to where I would go. Thank you very much. Again, if you guys haven't yet already, do me a solid. Show support for the channel by clicking the like button down below. It's greatly appreciated. Again, like I mentioned earlier on, if you've gone ahead and you're a subscriber of the Patreon and supporter there, rankings have already been posted earlier this morning. If you've signed up via Underdog Fantasy from August 1st, 2023 through yesterday prior to midnight, those rankings have also been sent to the email that you have associated with your Underdog account. Be sure to check your spam folder. Thank you. Moving on to Pepperoni Tony says, 12-team full PPR, traded CeeDee Lamb for Kupp and Kincaid before the deadline last night. Lost Andrews. I have Pat Freiermuth, kind of second guessing. Yeah, okay, here's the thing. If Cooper Kupp gets back to being Cooper Kupp, right, the one that we know, the one that we believe that in a full PPR could be an 18 to 20 point guy every single week, this trade won't hurt that much. But if he doesn't, and he's going to continue to be a lesser version of himself. We're going to have far more inconsistencies there. And if the return of Dawson Knox comes back and it really impacts Kincaid, we could be in some shambles situation there, moving away from CeeDee Lamb. But I'm going to hope for the best there, Pepperoni Tony. Let's hope that Kupp gets back to his normal self and that Kincaid continues to ball out every single week as he has done for the last month. Moving on to Dylan's question, says Pickens at the flex has had success on Cleveland before. Yeah, the only reason he had success against Cleveland earlier this season is because he scored a 70-yard touchdown. Outside of that, didn't do anything for the remainder of the game. So I don't really like the idea of playing Pickens. Unless he's, of course, going to score a 70-yard touchdown today. Thank you. Where are we at? Jeremy Miller in the chat said Ritter won the job back. He didn't win the job back. I think he's just going to play because primarily Heineke's hurt with a hamstring. Toast says, stuck in a predicament with my running back situation. I have Aaron Jones, ETN at RB1 and RB2. My flex options are Javonte Williams, James Conner, and David Montgomery. Yeah, you're in a predicament. You got a lot of good running backs, huh? At this point, Javonte Williams is probably that flex play. And then it's Montgomery, then it's Conner in that order. That's the way I would kind of roll with it. So Javonte is probably your flex guy there. Thank you. But yeah, definitely a pretty strong roster this week. Let's see here. Danny Navarro in the chat was saying Miami defense or Lions. I have Miami ahead of the Lions this week. Javonte or Puka in a half PPR. I'll probably roll with Javonte there. Jeremy. All right, let me scroll back up here. Catching up on some of the super chats. I appreciate those of you who have sent those in. I just want to go ahead and try to catch up to the best of my ability. We took care of Toast's question. We move on to Blake Dean. Blake, thank you. Lost Burrow this week. Pick one for rest of season. Browning, Baker, Stafford, Wilson, Love. So yeah, don't want Browning. I don't want Zach Wilson. It's either Baker, Stafford, or Love. I'm going to hope that the Los Angeles Rams, as a Rams kind of fan to an extent here, try to make a playoff push, and that Stafford kind of pulls it out of his ass and kind of figures it out here going forward. So I'd lean in the direction of Stafford. Otherwise, I think probably the most consistent option of the bunch as of late has been Baker, and going forward after this week will probably be the guy that I'd lean towards. Yeah, that's the direction I'm in. Stafford, otherwise I pivot to Baker. But yeah, I want to give Stafford a chance. Hopefully today he can kind of show that he's, worth it for the remainder of the season. If not, then we'll lean towards Baker. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that came in from, what is this? Amarmo? Let's just call you Amar. Amar says, Evans, Schultz, Kittle, Debo, Mostert, start 4. Evan, Schultz, Kittle, Debo, Mostert. I would play Evans, Kittle, Debo, and Mostert. I'd sit Schultz. Thank you. Sovicia Sok. Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much, Sovicia. Says, happy Sunday. Standard, flex, Hollywood or Jalen Warren? Standard scoring format. Who am I starting? Oh my gosh. Let's answer your second question here, Sovicia. PPR flex, Hopkins, Jerome Ford, or Myers. I'd rather have Hopkins out of the bunch in a full PPR format. But as for Jalen Warren or Hollywood Brown in a standard scoring format, I'd love to be able to. Oh man, I'd probably just play Hollywood Brown there. Thank you. Wardemus Maximus says Trevor Lawrence or Baker. I love the channel, man. I'd play Trevor Lawrence this week. Thank you. Bobby One says trade Debo for Devonta Smith full PPR. I would take that. Yes. Ken or Kaniki 101 said, or it almost sounds like Week Wiki. Good old Transformers. Full PPR start to Ayuk, Puka, Devonta Smith. In a full PPR, if I'm starting 2, I have at wide receiver Puka Nacua and Devonta Smith ranked higher than Brandon Ayuk this week. Thank you. Moving on to, what does it say? What the heck is his name? I like blue. Yeah, I like blue. I like blue says full PPR, pick 2, flex Ridley, Henry, Godwin. Give me Henry and give me Godwin there. Thank you. Moving on to Official Hone says, hey Andrew, thanks for the videos every week. It's quote unquote official honest Abe, by the way. LOL. That's okay. It is honest with a Z. Okay. Official honest Abe. Okay, got it. There we go. For my flex this week, thank you for the correction on the name. Yeah, because I saw the Z and I'm like, there's no way that Z is actually part of it. Okay, got it. Official honest Abe. Flex question this week. Thielen, Hollywood, or Pacheco? Adams, play caller, is back. And Brown is playing against too high, full PPR. Who do I have ranked highest in the full PPR capacity? Let's check here. Wide receiver. I have Adam Thielen ranked higher than Marquise Hollywood Brown in a full PPR. Adam Thielen at 20, Marquise Hollywood Brown at 21. I take Adam over Pacheco this week. So yeah, Thielen would be my suggestion there for right now. Thank you. Travis sends in a question, says Mostert or Puka in the flex. I'd rather have Puka there. Adrian Baca says Good morning. Good morning to you as well. Full PPR. Gut telling me Howell over Murray. That's fine by me. I don't have a problem with that. What's your thought? I mean, my thought is I'm just a little bit concerned about the potential of that matchup being just as bad as it was last time. That being said, Vegas does have the Washington Commanders as a 9-point favorite today. So let's hope that that goes ahead and comes to fruition so that all of the fantasy prospects that surround Sam Howell, especially Brian Robinson, has himself a great week. But yeah, I don't mind the idea of playing Howell over Murray. I don't feel strongly enough about it in comparison to the conversation of like Josh Allen versus Justin Herbert. I'm fine playing Howell over Murray. That's not a problem. Need 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, says Adrian. Gabe Davis, Lockett, Jaden Reed, Brian Robinson, Kenneth Walker. Okay, so the 1 flex that I would play is Brian Robinson. The 2 wide receivers I would suggest would be Lockett alongside of Jaden Reed there. Thank you. If in fact we're in a situation where Lockett is still questionable to play, considering you have the alternative of playing Gabe Davis in the afternoon as well, considering both the Seahawks, Rams, and the Jets and Bills play at 1:25 Pacific Standard Time, I would probably suggest if Tyler Lockett is going to be out, then you just pivot to Gabe Davis. But yeah, for sure, the alternative options that I mentioned of playing Brian Robinson a flex and Jaden Reed there as your other wide receivers, good to go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to Jay Nice. Says thoughts on Spears and Royce Freeman this week. Spears is purely, he really does need receiving work. And he'll get it because they'll probably be in a negative game script for a lot of this game. So I do expect that he'll get himself a pretty good workload of opportunity there. In comparison to Royce Freeman, the last time we saw that the Los Angeles Rams took on the Seattle Seahawks, in week 1, they ran the ball, I think it was 32 times with their running backs. Maybe it was more. I think it was 37 actually. Yeah, it was 37. There's probably a likelihood in which they run the ball a pretty consistent amount. That's kind of why I'm leaning the direction of just rather preferring someone like Royce Freeman, because I know he'll get himself maybe 10 rushing attempts. And if he does, he has the upside of a touchdown in comparison to Spears, who needs receiving work just to get to a balance of like 5 fantasy points. The upside after that is just kind of random. So for right now, I'd lean towards Freeman. Thank you. JT sends in a question. Says full PPR. I need 1 running back, 1 flex. Walker, Ford, Pacheco, Nico Collins, JSN. I lost Andrews, had Logan Thomas, Fryer Muth, Musgrave, likely, or Pitts for matchup / buy. Okay, so let's get to the first question. As for your running back and flex for this week, the running back I would suggest is Walker. The wide receiver / flex I would suggest is Nico Collins. So Walker and Nico would be the 1-2 there, JT. As for your tight end situation, going forward without Mark Andrews, I think the best possible option is probably Logan Thomas there and or Kyle Pitts. I don't love either of them, considering again it's a huge drop down from what you had from Mark Andrews thus far this season. But yeah, if I'm gonna pick, it's either Logan Thomas or Kyle Pitts. If it's not one of those 2 guys, it's probably Musgrave. Thank you. Someone in the chat was saying Pacheco or Singletary. Again, a reminder, guys, the rankings that are on screen as of this morning are up to date and are for those positional rankings. So these are not rankings from Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. These are rankings from earlier this morning, 2 a.m. Andrew cranking out all the information he possibly can and looking at his evil, I guess, spherical ball that tells him the future. Doesn't really tell me the future. But in regards to those kind of questions, the rankings are on screen. Hopefully that will help you out. I prefer Singletary over Pacheco today. Thank you. Moving on to Chaos Lord 916. Long time no see, Chaos Lord. Says hello. Full PPR, pick 1. Evan Ingram, Gabe Davis, Quentin Johnston, or Zach Charbonnet. Pick 1 in a full PPR. I think the safest play is Evan Ingram. And I think that's probably the one that I would go with if it's my team. I could understand the play of Gabe Davis considering how much incredible upside he has, but he also has the potential of being a dud play every single week. They do play at home, which is a bonus for Gabe Davis. But for right now, unless you need like a super high upside, I think Evan Ingram is relatively safe to get himself that like 6 catch, 60-yard production, 12 solid points. I don't really have to worry about anything. And maybe he even has the upside of a touchdown, considering the last time he took on Tennessee, he had a 33-point game. Let me see here. What does this say? Noah Brown officially inactive. I mean, that was obvious. I don't know why that was a report. Moving on. Evan had a follow-up question. Says, are you concerned about, PPR, are you concerned with Watson out with Cooper over Ford? Am I concerned about it? In a full PPR capacity, Not really, because look, here's the thing. If they can't throw the ball in Cleveland, they're not going to be able to run it either. So that's the thing. Like, if they get to a point today in which DTR cannot throw the ball and move the chains, they're going to have to abandon the running game, mainly because they're going to stack 8 defenders in the box. So I think eventually Amari Cooper will be the better option in this overall circumstance, unless DTR highly utilizes forward within the receiving game, which, again, when you have a mobile quarterback, it's less likely that's the case. For now, I'm still leaning towards Cooper there. But yes, there is concern without Watson, with the capabilities of Amari Cooper is. But again, there have been a couple weeks already this season with guys like PJ Walker in which Amari Cooper is still able to have himself 80 to 90 receiving yards within a singular game. So not too super concerned about it. Moving on to Donahue Brown. Donahue, thank you. Says, is there a way to drop / sub Burrow now on Yahoo PPR? No. The only way you can drop him and or substitute him out would be after the week is concluded. That's it. If you play in a league that has a no drop list, which again, you should never have a league where you have a no drop list. If you play in a league of that capacity, I don't even know what the rule is and when that takes place. But you could always tell your commissioner, hey, just remove him off my team, and they can get it done even if you have a no drop list. Thank you. Let's see here. Okay, catching up a little bit here. Where are we at? Let me just see what the heck is this. Okay, interesting. Okay. Damn, there's so many spam bots. I didn't even realize. They're all just getting banned. That was easy. We're good? Awesome. Anything else? Yep, another one. Let's ban this one. Okay. Done. Okay. Catching up a little bit here. Alrighty. One moment, please, everybody. I am trying to catch up. Where are we in terms of the questions? Where am I? Okay, so we took care of Donahue. Thank you very much. Rick sends in a question. Says, full PPR, are we flexing Charbonnet or Amari? I'd rather play Amari Cooper there. Thank you. Ahmad sends in a question. Says, full PPR and half point per rushing attempt. Madison or Kmet in the flex? That's a really good question. If it's a half a point per rushing attempt and Madison gets himself 12 rushing attempts, technically, gets an additional 6 points on top of his overall workload. Damn, that's tough. I don't know. I'd have to actually look at the projections and kind of adjust them. I'm already starting McBride at my tight end. So would I play Kmet or Madison in the flex? Okay, so let's see here. In a full PPR capacity, where do I even have Kmet in comparison? Kmet is there. Where's Madison? Madison's there. I'd probably just play Kmet there. Ahmad. Even with a half a point per rushing attempt. I think I just feel more comfortable playing Kmet in a full PPR capacity. Thank you. Moving on to Anthony Gonzalez. Says, trade Jay Ford for Nico Collins. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. That works. Appreciate it. Moving on to K. Pereira. Says, appreciate the hard work. Elaborate on Amari Cooper being low, please. Is it primarily because Watson is out? Yeah, that is 100% the reason. DTR, rookie quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, UCLA, is going to be starting today. He had a game earlier this season against the Baltimore Ravens on a short week, in which obviously we didn't know until the game that Deshaun Watson was going to be inactive in that week. DTR did not play well. He's had the full week to practice, so there is going to be a little bit more upside for Amari Cooper in that circumstance. But yeah, that's the primary reason. Without without Deshaun Watson or PJ Walker, having a different quarterback in this situation is a little bit sketchier. So that's why I'm a little bit on the fence as to whether or not I want to suggest Cooper to be a higher upside player. So right now, I lean with him being like a safe low end wide receiver 3. But otherwise, it's a solid matchup against that secondary, especially with Minkah Fitzpatrick out. Like, that's their primary secondary leader. Like, if he's gone, Amari Cooper could have really torn this defense apart if he had a better quarterback. But maybe DTR elevates his game. Juan LeBron sends in a question, says, "Hi Andrew, great show. You've been a great help. I'm 9-1 currently, preparing for the playoffs. Half point, 3 wide receivers. I have Keenan Allen, Ayuk, Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins, and Josh Downs. Higgins available. Would you drop Josh Downs for him? Does that make sense? I'd probably just keep Josh Downs for now. Like, I understand the logic of picking up Higgins, but I just don't know if there can be multiple wide receivers. You know what? Let's just pick up Higgins and let's see what happens. Josh Downs hasn't been healthy as of late. If you could pick up Higgins, let's see if Higgins can be any relevant with with Browning. And maybe if he can be, then he could be a decent option. Otherwise, you're probably not starting any of these players, either Josh Downs or Higgins, over Keenan Allen, Ayuk, Garrett Wilson, or Nico Collins rest of the season, considering they're all pass or buys anyway. So it's just kind of like a luxury piece. I don't mind having Higgins there. That makes sense. It's fine. All right, let's see here. Moving on. We had Jamal Smith says, pick 2, Tony Pollard, Isaiah Pacheco, Marquise Hollywood Brown, full PPR. If I'm playing 2, I'd play Marquise Hollywood Brown and Tony Pollard there. Thank you, Jamal. Appreciate it. Adam Amar says, Godwin or Henderson? Pat Freiermuth or Pitts rest of the season? I'd rather have Pitts rest of the season, and I'd rather have Godwin over Henderson. Thank you. Moving on to Michael Ortiz says, full PPR, Henderson, Najee, Cooper, or Ridley? I think it's slightly going to be Najee Harris over the bunch. Let me check. Yeah, I have Najee Harris over the bunch there. Thank you, Michael Ortiz. Dylan sends in a question, says, full PPR, Ridley, Warren, Zach Wilson. Oh, man. I'm not playing Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson probably scores you 10 points. I think the other 2 probably outscore him in that circumstance. If I'm not mistaken, let me see where I have Warren. I have Calvin Ridley ahead of Warren in a full PPR. Thank you. The Bus says standard league, Fields or Kyler, / Hopkins or DJ Moore, PPR. Fields or Kyler? I'm fairly certain I have rankings on screen. Am I crazy? Oh, it's right there. Look. Fields is at number 13 and Kyler's at number 11. So I'd go Kyler there. DJ Moore or Hopkins? I'd rather have DJ Moore. So now I understand your question. You're wondering if you should be stacking Fields and DJ Moore, which I would say I prefer Kyler, but if you want to stack them, you can. I just think that the potential upside between DJ Moore and Hopkins definitely leans in the direction of DJ Moore. Considering quarterback play, I don't really trust Will Levis, but yeah, I do trust Kyler Murray over Fields this week. As for your follow-up questions, start 1, Thielen, Myers, Lockett, or Dobbs. Give me Thielen there. Thank you. Appreciate it. And it says Lockett playing confirmed. Okay, got it. Understood. So yeah, then I'll keep the ranking as such. Young King in the chat says James Conner, question mark. He's number 18 just over my, on my screen, technically my right shoulder, but my actual left shoulder because it's flipped either way. Lucky Slevin sends in a question, says flex 1, James Cook or Amari Cooper? I'm fairly certain I have James Cook ahead of him. Let me check. Full PPR. James Cook is ahead of Amari Cooper. Moving on to the question that was sent in from Justin. Justin says, Nico Collins or Jaden Reed? I'll take Nico Collins there. Thank you. Brandon Frederick sends in a question, says, trade away Lamb, Ridley, and Charbonnet for Gibbs and Waddle. Current team is Josh Allen, Bijan, Pierce, Lamb, Amon-Ra, Chase, Kittle, Gainwell, and Charbonnet. So you basically are in need of an you have Allen, Bijan. You don't have an RB2, so you need an RB2. So you bring in Gibbs. You have Amon-Ra. Then you'd have Waddle alongside of him with Chase and Kittle. I think that probably helps you in the long run. Because you need an RB2. You don't have one. Your RB2 is Gainwell right now. So, yeah, at this point, you kind of, the thing is, CeeDee Lamb is acting at a point to where in a full PPR, the guy is literally scoring 40 points a week to where he's worth more than 2 players. But long term, he's probably not going to keep that up because it would, if he does, he's breaking all the records in the world. But yeah, long term, I don't expect him to keep it up. So yeah, in terms of getting that running back depth, I think it's worth it. Brandon, thank you. Pitch sends in a question, says full PPR, bench Jacob or Swift for Achane. Bench Jacobs or Swift for Achane. As of right now, on screen, I have Achane at 7. I have Jacobs at 8. I have Swift at 9. So technically, it would be Swift being benched, but if you don't feel comfortable about playing Achane, just play your other 2 options. You're good to go. Thank you. Anthony Manuel says, Nakua, Thielen, or Hawkinson in the flex. Hawkinson. Yeah, I'd rather have Hawkinson over the bunch. Thank you. Appreciate it. Alrighty. Let's see here. Where are we at? Okay, dude, why? These bot accounts are so ridiculous. I need a mod. That's what I need at this point. Holy crap. We good? We're good. Okay, cool. Catching up. Give me a moment here. Let me scroll back up here. We took care of Brandon. We took care of Anthony. Thank you very much. We go to Cody Holm. Says, Mostert, Rashad White, or McLaurin in the flex. Full PPR, McLaurin. Half PPR, probably, let me check. Half PPR, we have, do I have McLaurin ahead of them in a half? Let me check. McLaurin. I know I have McLaurin ahead of them in a full, but in a half. Yeah, I take McLaurin over them both in both capacities, both half and full PPR. Thank you. Criminal Minds 06 says 1 point per reception. I need 2. Godwin, Pacheco, or White. In a full point PPR, I would probably go with Godwin and White there. Follow-up question. Half PPR, Pickens or Watson? I'll take Watson over Pickens. Thank you. Moving on to Bill, says standard, pick 2. Devonta Smith, Mostert, or Metcalf? Devonta Smith, Mostert, Metcalf. Standard scoring format? Ooh, God. I'd probably roll with Metcalf and Devonta Smith there. Jonathan Cushman says 12-team PPR. I need 1. Dowdle or Murray? I'd rather have Latavius Murray in the lineup. Thank you. Moving on to Ramiro, who says full PPR. I need 2. Bench 1. Hall, Gibbs, or David Montgomery. Hall, Gibbs, David Montgomery. Need 2. Between the bunch in a full PPR, I'll take Hall and I'll take Gibbs. Thank you. Moving on to Wanden Reich. Yeah, Wanden Reich. Says start 2, full PPR. In the flex, Henry, Aaron Jones, Singletary, Montgomery. Initially, I'm benching Henry. In a full PPR, Aaron Jones has to play. If it's between Henry, Singletary, Montgomery, I'd probably play Henry there, to be honest. I could justify playing the other 2 options. I just feel like this is going to be a bounce back game for Henry. Typically, whenever he has these kind of low tread games in a full PPR capacity, or doesn't matter what capacity of scoring format, but usually when he has those low tread games of 5 to 6, points, he had 2 last week, but the following week, usually they give him a pretty high workload of opportunity. So I'd probably lean towards playing Henry there alongside Aaron Jones. Thank you. Moving on to Gabriel Martin says Devin Singletary over Cortland Sutton in the flex standard scoring format. Probably yes. In a standard scoring format, I would. JT says in a full PPR, I need to pick 1 wide receiver for rest of season. Shaheed, Reed, Michael Wilson, Rondo Moore, Brandon Cooks, or OBJ. Rest of season, probably Brandon Cooks or OBJ. Michael Thomas is probably going to miss some time. Shaheed is just a very sketchy play. I don't know if he's going to get more of a workload with A.T. Perry there. So I'd probably say it's Brandon Cooks or OBJ. For right now, let's just lean towards OBJ's been relevant for 3 consecutive weeks. I'd still lean towards the idea of Cooks rest of season because I like that schedule, and I don't trust Lamar's passing attack as much without Mark Andrews. It's going to be more difficult to move the ball. I understand that there'll probably be more opportunity for OBJ, but for right now, it'll be Cooks, OBJ, and then the rest of the field after that. Let's see, where are we at? Let me check some stuff. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to do this. Thank you. Okay, cool. Moving on. Prolific Max sends in a question. Prolific, thank you. Says, I need an upside play. Keaton Mitchell, PPR, Tank, or Evans. What does it say? Keaton Mitchell dudded. Understood. So Tank or Evans. I would rather play Tank this week. Thank you, Prolific. EC says Ridley or Dobbs PPR. I'd rather take Dobbs. Thank you. Justin says, good trade. My Lawrence and Nico Collins for Goff. I have Dobbs at quarterback as well. No, I wouldn't make the trade then. If you have Dobbs, I'd feel very comfortable keeping Dobbs as your starting quarterback and keeping Lawrence and Nico for the remainder of the season. You don't need Goff. Thank you. Redify says, I have Rashee Rice. I had Rashee Rice over Nico Collins all week, and now you're really going to make me change it? Here's the thing. The only reason I feel so confident about Nico Collins where he currently is because Noah Brown's not playing. In the absence of Noah Brown, again, that's a guy who's had 150 receiving yards each of the last 2 games. My assumption is that in the return of Nico Collins, who's obviously been a top 2 receiver already in this offense prior to, these breakout performances from Noah Brown, but obviously in the absence of Nico Collins due to injury, he continued to flourish and take steps forward. My assumption is that Nico Collins should be the more valuable play between the two, even though Rashee Rice, of course, has one of the more advantageous matchups. Shant sends in a question, says, Kyler Murray or Justin Fields? I'll take Kyler there. Laporta or D-Hop? I'll take Laporta there. Thank you, Shant. Appreciate it. Alan C. Yeah, Alan C. Let's see. Let's just call you Alan. How about that? Alan. Full PPR. Pollard, Swift. If I'm playing one, I'll play Pollard. Flex, Laporta or Montgomery? In a full PPR, I think I have Laporta ranked higher. Not by accident either. Laporta is there. Where's Montgomery? Yeah, I have Laporta ahead of Montgomery in a full PPR. Thank you. Moving on to Teddy H, who says, oh my gosh, dude, what the flying, the amount of spam accounts that are in my live chat are ridiculous. You know what the beautiful thing is? I have no problem taking time out of my day to ban every single one of these fucking rats. No problem at all. I'll take my sweet mother effing time. What in the hell is happening in here? Just because we have 1,000 viewers? Like, what is this? What are these spam accounts, man? Get out of here. All right. Give me a moment. Before I continue answering questions, let me clean up a little bit of this chat here. After I've done that. Okay. Give me a second. Let me go ahead and let me check something out. What is this, man? Okay. What are we doing? Why did my phone update? I need my phone right now. What the heck is this? Set up later. Thank you. What the heck? All right. Give me a second, guys. All right, I got a mod on the job. Okay, we're done. I had to make a phone call there. I took care of it. We're good to go. All right, let me see where I'm at in terms of the chat. All right, because I can't sit here all day banning motherfuckers because I would. Trust me, I would. Nothing brings me more joy. Anyway, moving on. We took care of Teddy H. We're good to go there. Corey Miller says, PPR, start Singletary or DJ Moore? That's a great question. Let's see here. DJ Moore. DJ Moore's there. I have Singletary. Where's Singletary in comparison? Where is Singletary, actually? Where the heck? DJ Moore's... I have DJ Moore one spot ahead of Singletary in a full PPR. They're literally back-to-back 46 and 47, but I have DJ Moore ahead of him. Thank you. Andoni Romero says, flex, half PPR, Nico Collins or Rashad White. I'd rather have Nico Collins there. Thank you. Michael Anderson says, half PPR, I need two. Addison, Brian Robinson, or Rashad White. Addison, Brian Robinson. Yeah, I'd love to play Brian Robinson there first and foremost. The second guy that I would suggest is playing Rashad White. Thank you. Are you being targeted by China, Andrew, or what? I have no effing clue, man. Grant sends in a question, says Hall, Pollard, Robinson, Swift, bench one. Dowdle active, Gibson inactive. At this point, I like Hall, I like Pollard, and I like Robinson. Thank you. If you want to, if you don't trust Pollard, you can play Swift ahead of him. I don't mind that. That's fine by me. Let's see here. Let's ban this one. I'm just gonna keep scrolling through this chat. If I see something, Russian spam bot. Yeah, I mean it probably is. You're not wrong. Anyway. I know my mic was muted. Don't worry. I was making a phone call. I had to get one of my mods on the job because this is just absolute shambles. Okay, cool. So where are we at here? Prolific, EC, we took care of that. Redify, Shant, okay, cool. Corey Miller, we took care of. Grant, we took care of. We're scrolling down the list. We have Carrie, thank you very much. Says flex, full PPR, Curtis Samuel, KJ Osborne, Khalil Shakir, Elijah Moore. Out of the group, I'll take Curtis Samuel there in a flex full PPR capacity. Thank you, Carrie. Corey Olson says, was too bullish last week on Barkley. You tried to tell me I won despite sitting Bijan 7-3. I dropped Lawrence 4 Dobbs this week. I have Howell. Thoughts? Yeah, I'd still play Dobbs there, but glad you were still able to win last week. No problem. Let's see here. Moving on. Where are we at here? Alex Soundgrass sends in a question. Thank you, Alex. Says, what's up, Andrew? Superflex. Start 2. 6 point per touchdown. Fields, Howell, or Purdy. I'll take Purdy there out of that overall situation in 6 point per passing touchdown format. Also in standard, start 2, Pollard, Mostert, Walker, Montgomery, Connor. I'll take Pollard and I'll take Walker. There's Alex. Thank you. Where are we at? We're scrolling down to Justin says, better play for upside, Parham or Conklin? I would say that Parham has more upside, assuming it's a half PPR standard, because he has more potential for a touchdown in comparison to Conklin. But Conklin, his receiving totals are like 6 catches, 7 catches the last 2 weeks on top of the yardage. In a full PPR, I'd lean in his direction, but in a half PPR, standard capacity, the higher upside I think is Parham because of that touchdown potential. Let's see here. Scrolling down, we have Matthew Rosado who said kicker and defenses. Sorry, yep. Let's get to that. Let's go ahead and transition the graphic on screen. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Alejandro Lino says, DK, Puka, Aaron Jones, pick 2 PPR. I'll take both the wide receivers there. I'll take DK and I'll take Puka if I'm not mistaken. Let me check my PPR rankings. Let me see where Aaron Jones is. Jones. In comparison, yes, I have Puka and I have DK ahead of him in a full PPR. Thank you. Okay, so let me see if I've caught up because I may have and I may have not. Boom. We took care of Justin. We took care of that. We took care of Corey Olson. Boom, 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 boom. I have caught up on Super Chats. Okay, thank you. Couple reminders. For those of you who are joining us this morning, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. As of this morning, the rankings to the right side of the screen are, in fact, up to date as of this morning. Half PPR, 4 point per passing touchdown. There have been a lot of bots in this chat. I have a mod that is spamming and just clapping them up right now. So, I missed Teddy H. No, I answered the question, but I'll go back and answer it if you want to hear the answer. Anyway, I'll go back up. I don't have a problem with that. Teddy H said, Ford, Laporta, or Sutton. Maybe I did. Yeah, I think I did because I was, no, you're right. I did. Midway through the question, I said, hey, Teddy H says, and then I didn't answer it because there were some spams. Got it. So between those 3, Laporta, Sutton, and Ford, it's probably Laporta or Sutton. Not probably. It is one of those 2. Let me see here. Sutton is there. I have Laporta ahead of Sutton today. Thank you. Is Zay Jones playable? Technically, yes. I saw that in the chat. But do I love it? No. Okay, so let's scroll down here. We had a question that was sent in just recently from Kevin Flagg, who says, Flex, James Cook, Deontay Johnson, or DeAndre Hopkins in a half PPR. I'd rather play James Cook out of the bunch there. Thank you. Damn, my guy Dustin Hopkins fell off. Well, here's the issue, right? If you don't have Deshaun Watson or PJ Walker, the offense may not be as capable of scoring. That's the reason why I have Dustin Hopkins a little bit lower in comparison. Otherwise, again, a top 12 kicker is still a good player, and is expected, to ball out. Okay, moving on to Antonio Haskell. Says full PPR. I need one quarterback, two running backs, two receivers, and one flex. We have Jared Goff, Stroud, Derrick Henry. Okay, so between the quarterbacks, first and foremost, Jared Goff and Stroud. I'd rather have Stroud this week. Follow-up question, Derrick Henry, Isaiah Pacheco, Jerome Ford. If we're picking two running backs, I'll take Derrick Henry and I'll take Isaiah Pacheco. Follow-up question to that, two wide receivers. You have Keenan Allen, you have DJ Moore, and you have Cooper, Kupp and Sutton, and and Amari Cooper. As for your two wide receivers there, Antonio, I would play Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper, and I would flex Courtland Sutton. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Alrighty. Whew. We've caught up. We got an hour more of this stream to go, so I'll be trying to answer as many questions as I possibly can. Yikes, man. The spam bots are running wild. Oh, man. All right, let's see here. We had a couple more questions. Oh my god, I'm just gonna start nuking these guys. Here we go. Mo Money says, "Hi Andrew, should I trade Brees and Thielen for Keenan Allen?" No, unless you're playing in like an 8-team league where you have ultimate depth at running back. I wouldn't. Yeah, I probably wouldn't there. Yeah, that's what we're thinking. You know what the good part is? I will tell you. The best part of having bots in the chat, at least typing consistently, the best part is that it has a higher frequency of chat usage, and technically that's better for the algorithm. So that's the only good thing. Outside of that, we're good to go. Callie sends in a question. Callie Loco says, which defense best for the playoffs? Houston, Indy, or Atlanta? I have to check the schedule. Let me check here. Houston has Tennessee, Cleveland, Tennessee. Indy has Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Las Vegas. And who's the final option you mentioned? Atlanta has Carolina. I would probably say Houston. Yeah, I'd probably say Houston. Maybe Atlanta. The Atlanta Falcons, yeah, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, if Derrick Henry goes off in some of those games, it could be a disaster. It's probably Atlanta for now. It's Atlanta or Houston, but I'll probably lean towards Atlanta for now, considering they play Carolina throughout that time. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We had a question that came in from Ruben Roberts, who says full PPR, Madison or Henry. Oh, sorry, Henderson. I'll take Madison there. Alexander Madison. Thank you. Goff or Dobbs in a standard. If I'm not mistaken, this week I have Jared Goff at 10 and I have Josh Dobbs at number 7. So I'll take Josh Dobbs there. Thank you. Cody in the chat says, good morning. I have Aaron Jones, Javonte Williams, Saquon, Puka, Ayuk, Devontae. Which two wide receivers and two running backs and one flex should I start? I mean, at this point, it's Aaron Jones, Javonte Williams, Puka Nacua alongside of Brandon Ayuk and Devontae Adams. I probably end up sitting Saquon there in comparison to what you have. Reuven Roberts had a follow-up question, says, non-PPR, do I flex Ty Chandler or Madison? I mean, Madison's healthy and playing, so my assumption would be that he's the starter. So that's who I would suggest. Bruce Cowdery says, with Michael Wilson's out, is he now? When did that come through? Let's see here, because I saw that he had a participation of practice late in the week. But did they deem him out already? Let's see here. Michael Wilson, limited practice Friday. But if he's out, then that just makes Trey McBride expected to miss the game. Wow. 9 minutes ago, inactive. Okay. That's cool. Interesting to know. So your question is, with him out, Rondell Moore or Jaden Reed? Yeah, give me Rondell Moore at that point. I already had Rondell Moore at 37, so yeah, he would jump a pretty significant margin there. So yeah, I'll take Rondell Moore there. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from Christopher Bailey. He says, full PPR, 10 points per 100 yards, 10 points per bonus of 40-yard runs. I need 2 of 3. Hall, HN, Jahmyr Gibbs. Oh, man. Full PPR. Let's see who I have ranked highest. I have it Breece Hall and Devon Achane as the 1-2 combo. Thank you. Connor in the chat says, I'm about to lose my mind starting Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, and Muth this week. Not really anything I could do besides swap out Muth for Mayer, I guess. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're kind of all in anyway on the Steelers, right? But yeah, I mean, I think that would probably be the only change, I guess. I'm playing Ridley today. Super nervous. I am as well. And I am super nervous. Hunt or Chuba Hubbard? I'll take Hunt there. Yeah. I don't really trust Chuba Hubbard too much against that Dallas defense. He'll definitely have opportunity, but it just won't be to the point to where I can trust it objectively. Randy Fernandez says, Singletary or Collins in a half PPR? Let me check who I have ranked higher. Singletary. I have Devin Singletary. Okay, so I have Nico Collins at 37 in my half PPR flex. Devin Singletary at 38. So they're back-to-back, but Nico Collins is one spot ahead of him. Let's see here. Will Patel sends in a question. Says, pick 2. PPR, Khalil Herbert, Jaden Reed, or Darrell Henderson. Pick 2. Khalil Herbert, Jaden Reed. Yeah, I'll take Jaden Reed, and I'll take Darrell Henderson there. Thank you. Will, appreciate it. Let's see here. Jayish says, full PPR, sorry, half PPR, Garrett Wilson or Saquon. In a half PPR scoring format, I probably feel more comfortable playing Saquon there. Ray Gamer says, hi fam. Should I play Chris Godwin versus the 49ers, Brandon Cooks versus the Panthers, Jaden Reed versus the Chargers, JSN versus the Rams in a standard scoring 6-point per passing touchdown format? And Browns defense versus Steelers or Lions versus the Bears? So in terms of defensive rankings, I have the Browns higher than the Lions. So that's the one question you were asking. As for the other question, in a standard 0-point per reception format, I mean, at that point, we probably just play Brandon Cooks. Just for the upside potential there. Let's see here. We had a question from My Red Rose 4196 says, start both Kupp and Nakua. I have Amari Cooper and Christian Kirk. Yeah, I would play both Kupp and Nakua this week against the Seattle Seahawks. Thank you. Andrew, Henderson or Addison in the flex? I'd probably play Addison there. I'd probably play Addison there. Alrighty, let's scroll down here a bit. JP says, full PPR, Kincaid or Collins? Kincaid or Collins, full PPR. I'd probably go with Collins there. Follow-up, Pickens droppable. In this kind of a matchup against Cleveland, I would say yes, but for now, I would probably lean towards the idea of you might want to keep him for the remainder of the season. Fugazi says, wait, who's out? Michael Wilson of the Arizona Cardinals has been deemed out. Let me actually look at that report real quick. Who else is inactive today? Let me just check. So the report goes as such. Let's see here. 13 minutes ago. Inactives for today. Let's see here. Let's see here. Inactive, Noah Brown, Antonio Gibson, Terrace Marshall, Jair Alexander. Wow, that helps. Okay, that helps. What's his name? Goodness gracious, Quentin Johnston out a lot. There's no Jair Alexander for another week. Jalen Guyton is out. There's no Gerald Everett. This could be a week for Quentin Johnston. It could be a week. That definitely makes a huge difference there. JD sends in a question, says full PPR, pick 2, gut feeling with situations in mind as well. Deontay Johnson, Darrell Henderson, DeAndre Hopkins, Ridley. Want to stack Ridley with T-Law, iffy on starting Henry and D-Hop. Gut feeling situations, Deontay, Henderson, Hopkins, Ridley. Want to stack Ridley with T-Law. I'm fine with that. I mean, look, if it's my team, I'm probably suggesting that you play in a PPR Hopkins and Ridley. So yeah, if you can pick two, those are the two that I would suggest. Thank you. JD says opponent is starting Cup, so Henderson entices me. Let me see the context to that, JD. Let me go back up. JD says pick. Okay, I understand what you're saying. Henderson's gonna have to catch a couple passes there for a pretty good, yardage count in order to be relevant in full PPR capacity in comparison. So I'm probably still leaning towards Hopkins and Ridley, but I can understand the logic of wanting to play Henderson. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Daniel Kapkinen says, I need your skills today. I have to win out to make the playoffs. So I need a wide receiver and a flex. Addison, Deontay Johnson, Rondell Moore, Lockett, Dotson, Ford. Okay, so of the available that you have, I would want to play Addison and Lockett, considering I don't know what... We know that Lockett's going to play, or should play. We don't actually know for a fact if he's going to play, considering they don't play until the afternoon. In comparison to the rest of the options that you have, I don't like the idea of playing Deontay Johnson. With Michael Wilson out, I'd rather play Rondell Moore over Deontay Johnson. I'd rather play Rondell Moore over Dotson. I'd rather play Rondell Moore in a full PPR over Ford. But for right now, I'm probably leaning towards the idea of playing Addison and Lockett. If I can only play one, I'd probably go with Lockett there. If you're trying to stay safe and you're like, I don't want to risk the injury, the next best option is legitimately Rondell Moore or Addison. And at that point, I'd probably just roll with Addison in that capacity. Thank you. K. Pereira says, I have Christian McCaffrey as my RB1 and Jacobs as my RB2. I have Cooper as my wide receiver 1 and Dell as my wide receiver 2. I need a flex, Singletary, Cook, Gabe Davis, or Freiermuth. I'll take Singletary there, K. Pereira. Thank you. Revis Island says, half PPR, Komet or Ferguson at tight end. If I'm not mistaken, the ranking on screen, let me go ahead and change it really quickly. Tight end, I have Komet ahead of Ferguson, one spot there. So I would suggest playing Komet. Thank you. Let's see here. We had Dre Day that sends in a question. Dre, thank you very much. Says Puka has more touchdown upside than Kirk. How Kirk is number one wide receiver. I don't understand the second part of that, but does Puka Nacua have more touchdown upside than Christian Kirk? I would say technically they're relatively... I would say probably he does. The thing about Christian Kirk's touchdown potential is that anytime they get into that red zone area, it's all Travis Etienne. That's the only issue there. Does he have significantly more touchdown upside? I would say in the absence of Kyron Williams, yes. Let's see here. But yeah, okay, so we had a question here from Rick. He says, full PPR, given the news, Rondell Moore or Amari Cooper? I'd rather have Rondell Moore. Rondell Moore had 8 targets last week. And imagine if he gets an even greater workload share of just being on the field for the entirety of the game. Like, Rondell Moore probably, if you have an available spot to pick up a wide receiver, might be the week you just pick him up and hold him on roster because he might go off, honestly. Could be one of those weeks. If we look back at last week, Cincinnati versus Houston, Tyler Boyd playing in the slot for majority of the game. What did Tyler Boyd do in the slot? He went for over 100 yards. Imagine what Rondell Moore could potentially do against that secondary. Just saying, could be a pretty big play this week. I don't want to put too much hype on it in terms of the idea to where like we're starting him over like guaranteed options, but it's very enticing. Very enticing. I might have to go ahead and change my visual rankings on screen, but I'll do that after I catch up in terms of some of these questions. Big Cat sends in a question, says, hi. Bench 1, Saquon, Swift, Achane, Waddle, Pollard. I'd bench Saquon. Thank you. Moving on to the question that came in from the Mad Capper. Says, half PPR, super flex, 1 QB, 2 running backs, 1 flex, White, Connor, Pacheco, Warren, Puka, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray. Okay, so here we go. We need 1 quarterback. I'd rather have Justin Herbert over Kyler Murray. Follow-up question, 2 running backs. Of White, Connor, and Pacheco, I would rather play, and Warren, out of those options, assuming it's a half PPR, yes, like you mentioned, it is half PPR, I would play Connor, and I would play Pacheco as the 1-2 RB combos. As for your follow-up there, plus 1 flex, you have Kupp, Keenan Allen as your wide receivers, Kincaid as your tight end, Burrow played unfortunately this week. Okay, so as for your flex in this circumstance, it's either between White or Puka Nacua. I'm fairly certain I have Puka Nacua ranked higher. So the Mad Capper, it would be again Herbert as your other quarterback, along with White, Connor, Puka. You're good to go. Thank you. Chris Rosado says, Stroud or Allen? I'm torn. If you want to play Stroud, you can. I would suggest playing Allen. Thank you. I just have a hard time sitting Allen. That's just it. Clint sends in a question, says, set my lineup, 2 QB league, full PPR. We have Jalen Hurts, CJ Stroud, Brock Purdy. Yeah, I'll take Stroud and I'll take Hurts there as your 1-2 quarterback combo. I have Gibbs, Walker, Montgomery, and Swift. I will take Gibbs and Walker. Sorry, I'll take... I'm pretty sure I have Swift ahead of Walker. Am I not mistaken? Yeah, I'll take Swift and Gibbs there. Excuse me. Swift and Gibbs. You have St. Brown, Devonta Smith. Play them both. Oh, you also have Puka Nacua. Woo. Okay, let me look at these rankings, full PPR, just so that I can get through this one shot without having to go through it. Okay, here we go. So, Devonta Smith is there. Yeah, okay. So, at the moment, this will be the suggestion here, Clint. Hurts, Stroud, Gibbs, Swift, St. Brown, Smith, Laporta. If you get a flex spot out of the bunch, it's Puka. Thank you. Moving on. We had a question from Jordy Peasy, who said, I have Kincaid. Do I trade Pitts for Deontay in a PPR format? I don't mind that. I mean, you're never going to bench Kincaid going forward, so yeah. I mean, actually, you will. Technically, you need a backup for Kincaid for the Week 13 bye. But if you don't need that, because maybe you've already clinched the playoff spot, then I guess you can make this trade for now. Alrighty. So, good to go. Rico Dowdle is active. I am hearing that is correct. Let me check the active list real quick. Let's see here. Control F, Dowdle. He is in fact active, correct. So is Zay Jones, so is Pat Freiermuth. Okay, so really what I want to do at this point, do I want to change the rankings on screen? I kind of do. I'm going to do that really quickly, but I need to adjust some of these rankings just to be able to compensate for it really quickly. Let's see here. So for now, what I'm probably going to do is something of this capacity to where I'm going to move some things around. Okay, guys? So just be a little bit patient with me and let me cook for a bit here, because I'm going to try. I'll probably do it like this. Yeah, let's try it this way. Let's go here. Let's grab this. Where's the receiver? Here we go. Boom. And then give you Rondell Moore. So this is the way I'll probably adjust it. I'm just adjusting it for wide receiver. I don't think I'm going to change it for anything else, because I want to move up Rondell Moore to a pretty significant margin up here. Let's do it this way. I'll probably go here, and then we'll go here. Do I replace Jahan Dotson there, or do I just move him up one? Decisions. I probably... I gotta think about this actually for a bit. I'd probably do it like this. Let's do it like this for now. Okay, so let me go ahead. Let me open up Photoshop. Let me change this ranking. Let me answer a couple questions here in the meanwhile. Quentin Johnson or Rondell Moore? I'd rather have Rondell Moore. And the rankings that I'm about to update on screen will apply that. Andy Murphy sends in a question. Says, I have Kyren Williams, I have Rashee Rice, I have Tajay Spears. Sorry, my Kyren Williams, Rice, and Spears for Connor, Laporta, and Ridley. My current tight end is Musgrave. Yeah, I'll take that deal. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine by me. No problem at all. Okay, so let me pop the rankings up so I can adjust them really quickly. And then once they've been adjusted, man, there are just two. You know what I'm going to actually do? I'm actually going to do it like this. Yeah. I'm going to mess around here a little bit. Let's see if this fits. Does this fit? It does. We're going to do it. We'll take it this way. Okay. File, save as. Let's go desktop. Let's adjust this. I need to make this. Nope, I don't need to save as. I need to save as copy. Save as copy. Here we go. JPEG. And then where is the kicker one? This one. Boom. Save. Yes. Okay, so then what I need to do is I need to then do it like this. I need to bring this down, turn these off. And then I need to turn on, what do I need to turn on? Quarterback and tight end. Boom. Then I need to save it this way. File, save as, JPEG, save it to this one, save, yes. Boom. Okay, so technically, there should be some adjustments that have been made on screen. I usually don't like adjusting rankings during our live stream because it takes time away from answering questions, but I thought it was necessary in this overall capacity. So as you guys can see, I have added a couple names to this list. I've done some adjusting. We'll see what happens. As of right now, we're going back to answering questions. We had a couple that were sent in. One was from the Mad Capper, says standard scoring format. JSN, Johnson, or Rondell Moore. JSN, Deontay Johnson, or Rondell Moore. I'll take Rondell. Oh yeah, I'll take Rondell there. Stallions Production says Tank Dell or Nico Collins or Christian Kirk in the flex. Tank Dell would be my suggestion there, Stallions. Thank you. Ray sends in a question, says full PPR. Who should I start at wide receiver? Rondell Moore, Gabe Davis, or McCole Hardman? Yeah, I'll take Rondell Moore there in a full PPR capacity. James Joyner says Dowdle or Harris. Full PPR. 6 point per. Yeah, I'll take Harris there. Thank you. Why so low on Amari Cooper? Backup quarterback. Third string quarterback, in fact. Jay Riz says Jackson Smith or Darrell Henderson PPR. I will take Jackson Smith there in a full PPR. Thank you. Let's see here. Avery Strauss says Metcalf or Garrett Wilson. I'll take Metcalf there this week. Thank you. Why so low on DJ Moore? Pretty much sketched out about Justin Fields' injury. I just kind of want to wait and see what exactly that overall injury kind of transpires to. If he looks great this week, then going forward, he'll be a top 16 wide receiver every week. Maybe even top 12. We'll see. All right. Cricks in the chat said Greg Dortch, deeper leagues. Wouldn't be bad. Thoughts? Yeah, I'm not willing to 100% say yes, but like if you're in like a 16-team league, maybe could be a decent option. But you got to understand that like in terms of the hierarchy of that offense, it's going to go like Trey McBride, Marquise Brown, Rondell Moore, James Conner, then Greg Dortch. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be a lot of, barriers to his potential upside. Ghost says, I just don't see Singletary getting 30 carries again. I don't know who's even suggesting that was going to happen. No, I don't think that'll ever happen for him in his career ever again. Paul says Cooks or Reed in a half PPR. I have Reed, like slightly ahead of Cooks, literally one spot ahead of him. Go with your gut feeling on it. ETN or Eckler, who do I start? Good one. Jackson Smith or Amari Cooper or Jaden Reed. If it's between the three, I'd rather play Jaden Reed out of the group. Saquon or Brian Robinson, full PPR. With Antonio Gibson out, I have a lot of confidence in Brian Robinson today. Curious why you have Najee Harris over Warren if he was named the starter. I am going to anticipate that Warren and Najee Harris are going to continue to split touches. Just because someone's the starter doesn't mean that it's going to be like a 70-30 split now all of a sudden. Like when Najee was the starter, Warren got, a pretty solid workload of opportunity. Going forward, just because of this overall starter this, starter that naming thing, that doesn't determine that we're going to see a huge workload swing from one to the other. They're both going to be utilized at the same capacity going forward. Brandon Cooks or Garrett Wilson? 100% Garrett Wilson. Collins or Nakua? Standard? Standard 0 point per reception. It's Collins. Nathan Gutierrez, thank you very much for the super chat. Let me get to it in a second. Let me just go ahead and catch up on some of these other questions. We had one from Lalo who said Amari Cooper, James Cook, or McBride in the flex. I like McBride there in the flex. Moving on to Little Fat Bear who says start Singletary over Montgomery in a full PPR. I would. Moving on. We had a question that came in from Nathan Gutierrez. Let's see what Nathan's question ended up. Nathan says, hi, Andrew. Who should I start this week at wide receiver? Kupp, Adam, Puka, Deontay. Kupp, Adams, Puka, Deontay. If you're starting two wide receivers, technically, for example, Kupp and, based on the rank, well, is it full PPR or is it a half? I don't think it really matters in this circumstance. Kupp has to play in every single form here. And I'm playing Puka Nacua next to him, whether it's half or full PPR. As for your follow-up questions, Swift, Henry, Jacobs, Montgomery, Najee. If we're starting two running backs, it's going to be Swift alongside of probably Jacobs there. If you're playing a flex out of the group, probably playing Henry. Thank you. Let's see here. Joey B, where is your question, Joey? Joey B says, I meant to ask, do I start Daddle, Charbonnet, or Chandler as an emergency start? Emergency start out of the three, I would rather... Sheesh. In a full PPR, I'd probably play Charbonnet there, to be honest. Yeah, I'd probably roll with Charbonnet. Let's see here. McBride, White, or Hollywood in a non-PPR flex. In a non-PPR, it's probably Hollywood there. Ibrahim Yusuf says, hey, Andrew, no concerns with for Lockett? There's concerns, but there's also the potential of, like, the thing was, he didn't practice on Friday. So my assumption is, like, there was something that popped up late Thursday, and they're like, all right, we're just going to give you the day off. Hopefully it's not to the extent to where they're like, oh, he's terrible. Because if I go back to the practice reports of prior weeks, let me go look at the Seattle practice reports. I remember that there was a specific week in which he didn't practice on Friday, and then he came out and he completely torched everyone. Let me just check here. So, where the heck is this thing? Tyler Lockett. If I go to week 10, is it the same? Is that the week that happened? No, it's not week 10. Is it week 9? No. I would just put it this way. If you're worried about Lockett, avoid. But yes, there is absolute concern. I don't even want to even look at it because I'd have to go through every single week here to find it. But either way, I know that there's been a week earlier this season where he was non-participant in practice on a Friday and still balled out on a Sunday. Defensive ranking? Sure. There it is. Deco sends in a question, says Tank or Swift in the flex half PPR. Let me check my rankings. Tank or Swift? I'm fairly certain. Let's see here. If I go to the half, Swift... DeAndre Swift is there. Tank Dell's ahead of him. Thank you. Alex Turner says Devin Singletary or DJ Moore full point PPR. Let's check. Singletary. Yeah, I answered this question earlier. In a full PPR, I have DJ Moore at 46 and Devin Singletary at 47. So I have one spot ahead DJ Moore. Thank you. Singletary or HN? I prefer HN this week. If you're worried about it, you can go the other way. It's fine. Fields or Baker today? 100% Fields. Yeah, Baker against the 49ers doesn't seem like a fun game to root for. M. Kessler, 83, says half PPR. AJ Dillon, Christian Kirk, Royce Freeman. Christian Kirk's the suggestion there, Kessler. Alrighty. Jay Hernandez says Dobbs or Foreman in the flex. I probably play Dobbs there. Half PPR Collins or Herbert. Collins. Andrew, is KJ Osborne a decent fantasy option this week? If you... He could be a... I don't know, man. The thing about KJ Osborne is that when they're only throwing the ball 30, 35 times in a game with Joshua Dobbs, and we're going to get 35% of those going in the direction of TJ Hawkinson, and then another 20+% in the direction. Like, technically, there is a chance that KJ Osborne can be a suitable play. I just don't think he has extremely high upside. Like, if he ends up with like 5 catches for 50, I think it's possible. I wouldn't put it past him. Marquise Brown or Sutton. Who do I have ranked higher on screen? I have Marquise Brown at 20. I have Sutton at 23. Thank you. T-Rex sends in a question. Says James Cook, Gabe Davis, or Jaden Reed. I'll take... That's actually a good one. Let me check here. What do I have? James Cook. James Cook in a full PPR. I currently have ahead of the other two. Thank you. Okay. So, again, for those of you who are joining us this morning, maybe afternoon, depending on where you're at, East Coast perhaps, maybe across the world, welcome. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. I'll be here for the next 34 minutes answering questions. Again, the rankings that are on screen are up to date as of this morning. There are kicker defensive rankings there. There are quarterback and tight end rankings there. Hope you guys enjoy that. If you do, be sure to click the like button down below. I greatly appreciate it. Again, a lot of adjustments this morning, but that's kind of the way fantasy football works. With more injuries, more information that's presented that is relevant, we roll it as such. Let's see. There's a question: Laporta or DeAndre Hopkins from Hassan. I would play Laporta there. There's a question: drop Pickens for Quentin Johnston. I don't mind that, George. Hey, Andrew, Calvin Ridley or Quentin Johnston, full PPR. Still Johnston over. In a full PPR capacity with no Jair Alexander, no Stokes, no Darnell Savage, no Rudy. Yeah, I would take Quentin Johnston there still. Yeah. Tank Dell or Kenneth Walker, full PPR. W Dog, I would take Tank Dell there. Hi, Andrew. Why start Josh Allen versus Jets over Goff versus Bears? Primarily because of the rushing upside, literally. Like with Allen being able to get himself, a rushing touchdown 7 of the last 8 games, and then if he's able to accompany the performance with more rushing scrambling work, if in fact the coverage is as good as it is, we could very easily see 10 solid points just off rushing statistics alone. All he would really have to do at that point is a passing touchdown, 250 plus passing yards, and it's a done deal. It's over. That's the reason. Rushing upside. Why is Collins ahead of McLaurin and Kirk now? Noah Brown is inactive. Officially. Okay, so we took care of that. Connor says, Kirk, Singletary, Metcalf, full PPR pick 2. I'd probably play both the receivers there, to be honest, Connor. I'll play Kirk and Metcalf there. Murray or Fields? I have Murray ahead of him, Jacob, on screen. Hey, Andrew, full PPR standard format. Hurts, Adam Thielen, Terry McLaurin, Debo, Tank Dell, Jay Connor, Derrick Henry, Achane, David. Okay, you got a whole monster team, huh? Standard format. Help me set my lineup. I mean, I think your lineup's set for you. Like, Jalen Hurts has to play. Alongside of that, Tank Dell has to play. Adam Thielen is a great option. I mean, is Thielen ahead of... This is a it's a full PPR scoring format, so it's not a standard league. So it would be Hurts, Dell, McLaurin, Achane, Swift, Laporta, and most likely Thielen in the flex. Full PPR, thank you. All right, scrolling down, let's see here. We had Brett McCoy send in a question. Thank you, Brett. I appreciate it. It says, Pacheco or Garrett Wilson, non-PPR. Non-PPR. If Garrett Wilson only catches the ball for 100 and... Let's say he catches the ball for 100 yards. That's it. He gets 10 points. I think Pacheco could outscore him in a standard scoring format. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question. We took care of T-Rex. We took care of that. Who are the hidden gems? I mean, at this point, it's probably Rondell Moore. I mean, at this point, Quentin Johnston, Rondell Moore, if I had to make a proclamation or I had to make a definitive decision now, those are the two guys that as of late have jumped due to injuries to players that have surrounded him. Of course, Quentin Johnston doesn't have to compete with Jalen Guyton or Gerald Everett for targets today. Rondell Moore doesn't have to compete with Michael Wilson anymore. Like, that's a huge uptick of opportunity there that, of course, we want to take advantage of. So those are the kind of guys in that capacity. Let me scroll down here. Brett McCoy, we took care of your question. Thank you, Brett. Appreciate it. Benjamin Saint says, it's funny. There's a There's a guy who plays for the Washington Commanders. His name is Benjamin St. Just. Interestingly enough. Anyway, have to win this week. I'm torn between Devontae Adams and Devon Smith. I'm leaning towards sitting Adams full PPR. Thank you. Love the show. Yeah, I have Devonta Smith ranked higher. So that's the direction that I would lean towards. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Moving on. We had a question that came in from Stallions Production who says, Nakua, Collins, or Kirk? In a half PPR scoring format and in a full PPR scoring format, I have Nakua ahead of both of them. Got it? Only in a standard league would I ever play Collins over Nakua. In a half or full, I will take Nakua. Thank you. B Normie says pick 2, Lockett, Addison, DJ, Amari Cooper, McBride. Now that we're okay, so this is what I'm thinking. Okay, hear me out, B Normie. I'm thinking you go DJ Moore and you go McBride. That's my suggestion there. Sam Castillo says Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. I prefer Justin Fields. I have the Lions defense. Should I keep Lawrence? Or do Fields with different? Look, if you. This is the issue that I have with Trevor Lawrence. Okay, this is the reason why Trevor Lawrence is not ranked this week. This is why Trevor Lawrence has really just kind of fallen out of the graces of my eyes in comparison to where I had him earlier this season. Lawrence, as of this season, I think only has one game of over 2 touchdowns. Look, so the last time he had 2 touchdowns in a game was in week 6. Since week 2, he's only had one game of over 1 touchdown. Every other game is only 1 touchdown. So the issue is Travis Etienne really digs into his upside. So, I mean, if you're going to assume that Trevor Lawrence scores 2 touchdowns this week, great. We'll play him over Fields. Otherwise, I think Fields is the better option because of the rushing upside on top of it. And I would still be willing to play the Lions defense against Fields. I don't have a problem with that. Because even if we're in a scenario in which Fields turns over the ball, at least you're getting the negation of points there. But yeah, if you do want to make a swap and you're like, yeah, listen, I want to, if we're going to play Fields, I don't want to play the defense. At that point, I would just pivot to the Chargers. Thank you. Moving on to Nathan Gutierrez. Let me see if you had another question here. Nathan says, different team. Who would I start at quarterback? Herbert, Purdy, or Murray? I'd play Herbert there. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra, Puka, Addison, Godwin, Deontay. It's Puka and Amon, I mean, as you know. Running back, Mixon, Montgomery, Harris. Mixon already played, so if in fact he's in your lineup, then you play him alongside of Montgomery. Otherwise, you play Montgomery and Harris today. Thank you. Appreciate it, Nathan. I have a feeling Dell and McBride will outperform Kupp and Laporta. I wouldn't be surprised. Legitimately, I would not be surprised. I have Dell in the same tier as Kupp this week. So I think very highly of Dell. Would you start Lockett with a questionable designation? I'm actually willing to move him down. So let's just put it this way. If you're in this chat right now, instead of me changing the ranking, let's say, for example, I would move, okay, technically, right? I'm leaving Lockett where he is. But if you're worried about it, I would be willing to start anyone from Rondell Moore and up ahead of him. I would be willing to do that. I would not play Gabriel Davis ahead of him. I think they're identical players. But if you had a Rondell Moore, Rashee Rice, Jordan Addison, Godwin, Hopkins, DJ Moore, Samuel, Cortland, if you had those options, you're like, I'm just sketched out about Lockett, I'm not going to take the risk. That's fine. I'll take anybody above Rondell Moore and up to play ahead of him. Okay? So we're on the same page. Thank you. We had a question that came in from Christopher Min, who says, half PPR, who do I flex, Rashee Rice or McBride? Wow. I probably play McBride there. Thank you. How confident are you with A-Chain fantasy significant workload? I don't think he'll get a significant workload. Like, I still think he's going to split carries with Mostert. The thing is, he's such a more efficient player. The guy was averaging 12.3 yards per carry. I understand he's coming off a knee injury, but he's had the 4 games off and the bye week. Like, he was probably ready to go last week at a full capacity. So, I'm just anticipating the matchup and the similar workload and of course the potential upside there. I do expect him to be pretty solid play. That's why I have him ranked as such. That's why, I mean, I wouldn't have him ranked in the top 10 unless I was confident with it. Christopher says, I see you moved up Nico Collins' your ranking. Does that change the answer from yesterday? Christopher, what was the question from yesterday? Because honestly, I don't remember it. Nick sends in a question, says sit one, Swift, ETN, Pollard, and Dallas or Cleveland defense. I'd rather play Dallas's defense, and I'd probably look, if it's my team, legitimately, if it's my team today, I'd sit Swift and I'd play Pollard and I'd play ETN. If you're like, hey, listen, I've already been fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you, fool me 3 times, I'm an idiot. Don't play Pollard. If you're legitimately going to be like, at this point, just play Swift and ETN, you're safe there. But I do prefer Pollard. But, we could have a difference of opinion and be perfectly fine there. Will sends in a question. Says PPR, Rondell Moore or Ridley? I'll take Rondell Moore. Leaning Ridley, convince me. I don't want to convince you, to be totally honest. If you want to play Ridley, play Ridley. But as of right now, I'm rolling with Rondell Moore due to the absence of Michael Wilson. Christopher says, reason for Nico Collins moving up the ranks. Got him in Kirk. Yeah, the primary reason is Noah Brown's absence. Thank you. Moving on. We have Robbie P, who says Singletary or Achane. Yeah, I'll take Achane there. 5 carries equals 5 points in a full PPR. What? Oh, goodness. You're getting a point per carry? Oh, wow. If you get a point per carry and he gets 15 rushing attempts, I mean, at this point, oh, man. Like, if Singletary gets 15 rushing attempts, you're telling me he's going to get an extra 15 points this week, Robbie? At that point, you just kind of have to play him. Like, I don't know if Achane gets 15 attempts. Maybe he gets 10. Yeah, let's say, oh, man, this is tough. It's a full PPR on top of it. I don't like the scoring format. I'm just going to lean towards Achane and just hope that his production just outweighs everything. Let's see here. Weather and blowout factor, says Jeff F. What are we talking about? What's the weather blowout factor? What game? Because the only weather game that's potentially in line is Denver, Minnesota, and or Kansas City, Philly. That's the only weather game that we have to worry about. Okay, scrolling back up, we had a question that came in from Ken, who says, sit 2, Puka, Nico, Waddle, Deontay, Tank, Achane, Montgomery. If I'm sitting 2 of this bunch, it's Nico Collins and David Montgomery who sit. Thank you. Sean says, why is Najee ranked but Warren isn't? Warren's ranked. He's literally on screen. Number 26. Half PPR, Chase or Mixon rest of season? Chase. Yeah, I'd rather have Chase, 100%. Charles T says half PPR. I need 4. Breece Hall, Devon Achane, Swift, Pacheco, ETN. Breece, Achane, Swift, ETN. Bench Pacheco there, Charles. And would you start Fields over Mahomes today? And Tank over Garrett? I would play Mahomes over Fields and Tank over Garrett. Yes, thank you. Stephen Hernandez. I saw the H and I just went Henderson for some reason because I saw Darrell Henderson. Saquon or Chandler? Saquon. I have Ty over, but Madison is back. Yeah, I'll take Saquon there this week. Thank you. Any reasons Deontay Johnson or Pickens? Yeah. The reason why I don't like Deontay Johnson and George Pickens this week primarily has to do with the fact that it's going to be a very low scoring game. On top of the fact that Kenny Pickett is not a great quarterback. And on top of that, they play against a really good secondary, a really elite secondary this season in Cleveland. So I don't like either of those options. If they play well, fantastic, but I don't expect them to. Ibrahim, half PPR, Henderson, Amari, Lockett, Godwin. Ibrahim, don't you have the rankings via Patreon? Just look at the rankings. I mean, those players' rankings probably have not changed. So if you're worried about Lockett, you just play Godwin ahead of him and you're good to go. Thank you. AW122095 says half PPR, Ridley, Zay Jones, Christian Watson. I'll still take Ridley there. We had a question that came in from Rogo. Rogo, thank you. Says half PPR, 8-man, half PPR, 5 and 5. Mahomes, Chase, AJ Brown, Jones, White. Okay, Mark Andrews, Devontae Smith, Tank Dell, Dustin Hopkins, San Francisco defense. My bench is CJ Stroud, Foreman, I said Hubbard and Hubert before I said Herbert. Jake Ferguson, Nico Collins, Kansas City defense. Perfect setup, yes or no? Upside, change it. Okay, let's see here. So you technically have there. AJ Brown, Jamar Chase. You've already played. Mark Andrews already played. Smith, yeah, it's fine. Tank Dell's fine. Yeah, you're perfectly set up. You're good to go. Yeah, you're good to go. No, don't make any changes. Your lineup's good to go. Thank you, Rogo. Appreciate it. Colin Smith says JSN or Deontay Johnson. This is going to be a big decision by the end of the week. I know it is. Man. Let's take JSN there, Colin, in a full PPR. Sanchez sends in a question. FB Sanchez says, start 2 full PPR, Rico, Deontay Foreman, Rico Dowdle, Deontay Foreman, or Chuba Hubbard, or Royce Freeman. If I'm starting 2 in a full PPR, it's Foreman and it's Chuba. Thank you. Chris Moraga says, full PPR, flex Godwin, Deontay Johnson, or Warren. In a full PPR, I'd play Chris Godwin there. McBride or Hollywood, I have McBride higher in my rankings. Brian F says full PPR, pick 3, Adams, Puka, Terry, Waddle. I'll take Adams, I'll take Puka, and I'll take Waddle. Thank you. Jordan Brookins says, let's see, Jordan, where's your question? Where is the question? There it is. Says full PPR, 10 teams, sit 1, Lockett, Sutton, or Hopkins. At this point, I don't want to make a decision out of fear. So for now, I would take Lockett and I would take Sutton. And I'd bench Hopkins. Justin L says Dobbs, Reed, Cooks. Full PPR, pick 1. Decisions, guys. Decisions. At this point, I'd probably lean towards Dobbs. I like the matchup against the Chargers secondary. Bale Kim sends in a question. Says full PPR, Lockett, Amari Cooper, or McBride. If I'm playing 1 out of the 3, I'm playing McBride. Submission Spectrum says full PPR, Jacobs or Diggs. Tim Tree says Montgomery, Javonte, or Hollywood, full PPR. Probably roll with... I mean, I like the idea of playing Hollywood, but I'd probably suggest going Javonte Williams there. True Gentleman for You says, hey, buddy. I need a flex. Marquise Brown, Singletary, Rice, or Amari Cooper. I don't like Rice. I don't like Amari Cooper there. It's between Marquise Brown and Singletary. I'll take Singletary in a half PPR, Marquise Brown in a full PPR. Let's see here. Jamma says, I'm in tight end hell. PPR, Pat Fryermuth, Tyler Higbee, Donald Parham, Otten, or Chigozimo Okonkwo. I'll take Parham out of the group there. Jamma, thank you. Nathan Salazar says Aaron Jones or Pollard, full PPR. I have Pollard ranked higher. That's the direction I would go with. If you want to play Aaron Jones, be my guest. I don't have a problem with it. Again, we don't have to agree. But the rankings, again, are on screen. If you guys, it's there for a reason. I present it so that I don't have to, if I didn't have rankings on screen, it would be almost impossible to answer everyone's question. No, I would have to start the night before and go 24 hours to answer everyone's question. Anyway, moving on. John Hernandez says, Ty Chandler, splitting carries with Madison or James Cook. I'd rather have James Cook. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Jorge Perez. Jorge, where is your question? It's not attached. Jorge Perez. Damn, my control 3 function, F3. Jorge Perez says, in a full PPR, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex, based on rankings, AJ Brown, Kupp, and Dell, and Nakua. Other options are Addison, McLaurin, Chandler, Foreman. I would keep it as such. As for your kicker, I have Joseph. Do I drop for Patterson on waivers? I don't mind the swap. I don't mind keeping it. I think Greg Joseph's been consistent. I think as of late, Riley Patterson has been great. So both of them are good kickers. I don't mind if you just keep it as such, but your wide receivers are good to go. As for your follow-up question, also, does Foreman have any value with Herbert back thinking of dropping him for Murray as a backup for Hurts? Yeah, let's make that swap. That's fine. Because if you're not going to start Foreman, then don't worry about it. You're fine. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question from Salvador Espinoza who says Judy or Dylan half PPR. I'd probably play. Oh man. The thing about Jerry Judy is that he just doesn't play well. Like it's just nothing. There's no upside there. The dude's had 3 receptions, 2 receptions, 5, 3, 6, 3, 5, 3. Like he doesn't get enough production. Like it's not enough opportunity either in terms of targets. He had 3 targets against Buffalo. But do I trust AJ Dillon against the Chargers in a negative game script? Probably not. Unless Dillon scores a touchdown, it's kind of. I'd probably just roll with Judy and pray. That's pretty much it. I don't really trust Dillon that much. Jeff Wilson is out. Yeah, we already knew that. I mean, if Jeff Wilson was not going to play over Salvin Ahmed anyway. Salvin was playing more than him in Germany a couple weeks back. iShine101 says, with Zay Jones back and starting, do you feel Ridley is a better play than Godwin? No. Godwin is a better play than Ridley. Just saying because Ridley was snapping back when Zay was in the lineup. Yeah, I know. I understand the logic there. I think that just means less target opportunity for Ridley in the long run. Jason says Kincaid or Godwin in the flex. I'll take Kincaid there, Jason. Thank you. Landon Ramirez says defenses. Yeah, let's go ahead and present them on screen. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Confident with Cook over Madison. Yeah, I'm comfortable there. Let's see here. Where are we at? So we took care of that question. We go to Augie Smith. Augie, thank you very much. Says, do I start Puka, Cup, or both in a full PPR? Both, please. Thank you. Moving on to Dior Kev, who says PPR. Doesn't say PPR. It says quarterback is Lamar. Wide receivers are Hill and Cup. Okay, cool. My RBs are Henry and Javonte Williams. Tight ends are Laporta. PPR, I need a flex. Montgomery, Nico Collins, Sutton, DJ Moore, Rashee Rice, Gabe Davis. In a full PPR scoring format, I would flex Nico Collins. Thank you. Brandon Taylor says Addison or O'Connell, Superflex. Aiden O'Connell, Superflex. Do I rather play him over Madison in a full PPR? I think Aiden O'Connell has pretty much demonstrated that he's pretty much 8 to 10 points. I'd rather play Addison at this. I'd rather play Addison right now. BB says Darrell Henderson or Deontay Johnson. I'll take Darrell Henderson there. Rogo says, I also wanted to know about Rice. Why or why not pick him up rest of season? Yeah, let me look at the prior question, Rogo, in terms of what you have on roster. So in terms of what else you have on roster, so you have CJ Stroud, Foreman, Herbert, Ferguson, Collins. If you were going to pick him up, technically you could. And I don't see it as a bad idea. You would just have to drop one of those 2 running backs, right? But considering you're in a position to where you only have Aaron Jones and White as your only other running backs, I think it would probably be smart to hold on to these two running backs as in Foreman and Herbert. See what kind of utilization in terms of snap counts, rushing attempts they get to determine who really is going to be the primary going forward. And then after that, you can drop one or the other. Outside of that, I don't feel like dropping Nico Collins or Ferguson or Stroud or the Kansas City defense for Rice, considering you have Chase, A.J. Brown, and of course Tank Dell and Devonta Smith for now. All right, Rogo, after that question, we had a question that was sent in from Angela Clark. Thank you, Angela. Appreciate it. It says, hi, Andrew. Thanks for being awesome, as usual. Appreciate it. Full PPR, I need 1 running back and 2 flex options. We have Singletary, we have White, we have Thielen, we have Addison. So in a full PPR scoring format, the running back that I would play is Singletary. The wide receiver I would play would be Thielen as a flex option. Would I play Addison over White? Let me check my rankings. Full PPR. Where's Addison? Addison is there. Where's Rachaad White? I have Rachaad White ahead of him. So, Angela, my suggestion would be Singletary as RB1, Thielen and White in the flex. Thank you. Monty or Connor in a full PPR? I think Connor's probably the better play. But if you think the revenge game is a legit thing, then you roll with Montgomery. Montgomery or Smith? I'd rather have Devontae Smith. Start Herbert versus Green Bay or Stroud versus Arizona. I have currently Herbert at 6 and Stroud at 8. They're both pretty good plays this week. All right. Sabala, the Bala, says, full PPR flex, JSN, Christian Watson, or Jahan Dotson. If I'm playing one in the full PPR flex, it'd probably be Jahan Dotson there. Thank you. Steve says, Higgins, droppable. Have CeeDee Lamb, Waddle, Ayuk, and Olave. I mean, if technically you're never going to start him for the remainder of the year, so sure. Because CeeDee Lamb, Waddle, Ayuk, and Olave have all passed their bye week. So yes, he is technically droppable in your circumstance. Pickens or Quentin Johnston? Sadiq, I'd rather play Quentin Johnston. Kickers, where does McManus rank? Probably like 15, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere in that capacity. What does this say? Hold up. Okay, cool. Never mind. We'll keep it moving. We had a question that was sent in from Shane. Shane says, need Achane from the IR, drop Keaton Mitchell, Gabe Davis, or Jacoby Myers? If I'm dropping one of the three, I think it depends on what kind of running back depth you have. With Keaton Mitchell coming back, like, are you ever going to play with Achane coming back, are you ever going to play Keaton Mitchell again? If the answer is yes, then you drop Jacoby Myers. Dior Kev says, everyone hit the like button. Stay hydrated, Andrew. I'll try. Listen, I'll get a sip of water. I appreciate it. Yeah, if we can get to 800 likes, that'd be greatly appreciated, guys. All the support you guys continue to send me is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Somebody in the chat was saying Dobbs or Goff in a standard. I have Dobbs ahead of him, currently ranked. Roberto Robles says, Andrew, half PPR format. I have Prescott, Herbert, Kupp, St. Brown, Diggs, McCaffrey, Achane, Ford, Thielen, Laporta, Kincaid, Singletary. Help me set my lineup. Brother, you know what to do, man. Just look at the screen. Like, you got it. Like, Prescott, Kupp, St. Brown, and Diggs have to all play. So if that's two starting wide receivers in a flex, done. McCaffrey and Achane, that's the 1-2. Laporta in the tight end spot, and you're good to go. So I mean, you know the answer. I mean, you're asking me for confirmation bias, I know, but like, you know it. Waddle or Gibbs, flex full PPR. I have Waddle ranked higher. Less points allowed, Miami or Cleveland? Cleveland. Let's see here. Okay, let's try to answer some of these questions. We have 7 minutes. Here we go. Andrew doesn't know that the NFL locks in 9 minutes. Andrew does know, but you know what? You're banned. How to determine kicker rankings? A lot of numbers, a lot of stats. I have Connor, Barkley, and Warren. Which two? Connor, Barkley, Warren. I mean, I like Connor and Barkley there. Kevin says PPR, Sutton, Marquise, Hollywood Brown, or Singletary. I have Marquise ahead of Sutton, but do I have Singletary ahead of Marquise? Where's Hollywood? I have Marquise, Hollywood Brown over the bunch there. Man, I keep thinking about starting Dobbs over Allen. Do it. No doubt. Just do it. Do not question your gut feeling. Just roll with it. Should I roll with Kupp or Nakua and play Terry for Puka? You could. I just like playing both the Rams receivers. Ford, Nico Collins, McLaurin. Pick one in the flex, full PPR. In a full PPR, I mean, I really like Nico Collins and Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is my favorite play via Underdog Fantasy today. I think his numbers, at least yesterday, was at 60.5 receiving yards. That is the best number that they could possibly have for McLaurin. Let me see if that's still a thing. Yeah, he's still at 60.5. He has never had less than 10 fantasy points against the New York Giants in his career. His number on Underdog sits at 10.15. So pretty solid play there. But yeah, I mean, if I'm picking between the bunch, I like Nico Collins. Dell, Waddle, McLaurin, start two. I'll take Dell and Waddle there. Training effect. Let's see here. Where are we at? Mike Evans or Devin Singletary? In a full PPR, it's probably, I think in both capacities, probably Mike Evans. But in a standard league, I might go Singletary. Yeah, I probably would go Singletary in that kind of capacity. Max Ruse says, DJ Moore, Tank Dell, Addison, Puka. Pick three. Dell, Puka, Moore. Those are the three. Royce Freeman or Latavius Murray or AJ Dillon. The rankings are on screen. I think I have Royce Freeman ranked highest. All right, J Rod sends in a question, says Puka or Garrett Wilson. Yeah, I'd probably go Puka Nacua in both capacities, full or half PPR. It doesn't matter. We had a question that came in from Atlas Person. It says full PPR. Pollard, Puka, Kirk, or Ayuk. Let me check who I have ranked higher. Let me see where Puka is in comparison. Puka Nacua. I have Puka Nacua behind Pollard, but ahead of Ayuk and ahead of Kirk. So Pollard will be the play next to Puka. Thank you. Pacheco or Hawkinson. Zeus. Hawkinson. Tank Dell or Singletary. Point per reception. Tank Dell. Calvin Ridley or Deontay Johnson. Calvin Ridley. I have McLaurin, Raheem Mostert, DeAndre Swift, McBride. I need two in a standard PPR. Out of those options, I'd probably end up rolling with McLaurin and Swift. Or Swift or McBride. Let me see. Who do I have ranked higher? McLaurin or McBride? McLaurin. I have McLaurin and Swift there. Yeah, those are the two that I would suggest. Paxton sends in a question. Thank you, Paxton. Says start two, full PPR. DK, HN, Puka. Full PPR. Let me check who I have ranked higher. I think I have the receivers ahead of him. Where's HN? Yeah. I have both Puka Nacua and DK Metcalf ahead of HN today in a full PPR. Jaden Nelson, good question. I have no clue. I don't eat from the spots. Brian Robinson or Walker. I have Brian Robinson ahead of him. Barkley or Garrett Wilson. Barkley half PPR, Garrett Wilson full PPR. Did he rank Amari Cooper 37th? Yeah, I moved him. Wait. Amari Cooper's there. Yeah, he's 37. Yes. I mean, he doesn't have a number next to him, but yes, technically he's 37. Njoku or Deontay Johnson full PPR. At that point, I probably just roll with Deontay Johnson. Rashad White or Nico Collins? Nico Collins. All right. Jonathan Del Angel says, thinking of starting Kyler Murray over Josh Allen. Opinion. My opinion is that I'd rather start Josh Allen, but if you want to play Kyler Murray, best of luck. I don't have a problem with it. But if it's my team, I'm playing Josh Allen. Richard Aziz, who says, Gabe Davis, Charbonnet, Judy, or Brandon Cooks, full PPR. I would probably, in a full PPR, let's go with Brandon Cooks. Thank you. Jet says, flex James Cook or Amari Cooper full PPR. James Cook or Amari Cooper. Yeah, I mean, at this point, considering DTR is a little bit of a sketchy play, let's just go with James Cook just to be safe. Mikey says, anybody, question mark? What are we talking about, Mikey? Mikey says, chat, how come Nico behind Tank if he's wide receiver one? He's not wide receiver one. That's why. I think that was the wide receiver one. I mean, he doesn't play the X role technically, but he is the number one in terms of targets. Brian Robinson or Metcalf? I'd rather have Brian Robinson. Hi, Andrew. 12 team, Brian Robinson or Puka? Give me Brian Robinson. Texas 416 says, who do I bench between Kirk, Ridley, or D-Hop? I would bench Ridley out of the three. Moving on to Legendary Duke, who says, start Kirk or Connor over D-Hop or Tank. Yeah, I'd rather play Kirk over D-Hop. I'd leave Tank in. Kaleo says, Kaleo De La Torre says, Ayuk versus Puka in a half PPR. Who do I have ranked higher on screen in a half PPR? I have Ayuk right behind him. Back to back. Flip a coin if you have a thing. Otherwise, go with the Puka Nacua play. Rashee Rice or Jalen Warren full PPR. I'd rather have Rashee Rice in a full PPR. Debo or Evans. I have Evans ranked higher. I have both Howell and Fields. I don't know who. Yeah, I have them back to back, don't I? Yeah, I have. Where's Fields? Fields is 13th. Howell's at 12th. Pretty good place. Montgomery or Collins. Montgomery or Collins. Let me check who I have ranked higher. I'm thinking it's Collins in both half and full PPR. I can confirm though. Nico Collins. I have Nico Collins ahead in a full PPR, behind in a half PPR. And it's 10 a.m., 1 p.m. Eastern. That's it, guys. Buzzer. I appreciate y'all. Thank you everybody for sticking around, supporting the channel, clicking the like button, sending in chats, answering questions, dealing with the crazy spam bot server today. But hey, that's life. We enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow with waiver wire pickups. Tuesday will probably be 2 videos, running back and wide receiver rankings. Because there are 3 games on Thursday and 1 game on Friday and a bunch of games on Sunday, I'll probably be live streaming Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next week. So that's the schedule. Tua or Dak rest of season. I'm pretty sure I posted a rest of season rankings video on Friday. Check that video out. It'll answer your question. I have rankings by tier, by position, top 16 quarterbacks, so you can check that out. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. You guys are the best. Much love. I'll see y'all tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every day for the remainder of the season. Until then, enjoy the games. Let's hope for some health. Let's hope for some high-scoring events. And let's just hope for a lot of touchdowns. How about a record-breaking week, huh? All right, guys. I'll see you. Peace.